And yeah, so when they killed my dog, I just kind of went on a murderous rampage, and we had like 4 or 5 people that kind of broke into the house and left me in a bit of a bloody mess on the floor, I'll be honest. But then after that, it was a case of I had to go into my cellar, find all the stuff in my cellar that was going to help me, my tools and stuff like that, things from a previous life that I'd just left behind. And do you know what,
Well,
man?
they
I
took
completely
they took your car too, didn't they? They killed your dog and
exactly,
they took your
yeah.
car.
Exactly. Well, I didn't even know that
Unbelievable.
until I got to the garage a few hours later. And I opened up the door to the garage, and the car wasn't even there. I was so disappointed, man. But anyway, it's all fixed, sorted now, healed up. Got a new dog. Got the car sorted. It's in for
Yeah.
repair, so we're all there
And
now.
those assholes paid. Oh, they paid.
Yeah. Well, you got to do what you got to do, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you do. All right. Welcome to the Top Clack pre-show, everyone. Hope you're all doing fantastic. Quite a few subs rolling in already. Our homie Ray subbing a tier 1 for 22 months. Says heck you,
Yeah.
brain. Don't heck me. You love me. Just keep that in mind. Penguin
I
dropping.
did follow the instructions as well, Ray. What you asked me to do, I did do when I first started speaking to Ray.
It's true. It's true. He did. I can confirm that he told me to heck off. Penguin droppings tier 1 sub says yeet. Thank you so much, man. Bledin in the chat. Always fantastic to see EU peeps around at this time of day. I don't know how you do it or why you do it, but you're our kind of person, our kind of lad.
So just while we're talking about Bledin as well, I can't remember the date, but Bledin is doing a sit down for charity. He's going to be doing some video game shizzles for charity.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So yeah. So Bledin, if you wanna post some links to that in chat, please feel free to do so. We'd love to support that kind of cause. So please feel free to.
Not only that,
post.
Even if he doesn't post it here, you can go into the official Top Clack Discord, go to the games channel, check out the pinned messages. I did pin it the other day when he posted it, so you can go check out that fantastic event. Always nice to game for charity and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I've pasted it as well because it's on Saturday this week, if I remember rightly. I did have the link to one side. I can't find his post now, but I'm pretty sure it was for the 8th of February, which is Saturday. So excited for that.
Very nice. Lunar Sama, also on a tier 1 22-month streak, so thank you so much for that. Pretty classy.
Nice.
Pretty OG.
Yeah, right.
And DMC as well, 10 months in a row at tier 1. Thank you so much, man.
Awesome.
Always a pleasure to have Twitch chat, Twitch staff around.
Yeah, J-Chef with the 500 revenge bits as well. I assume he's
revenge bits.
He's
okay.
Yeah, revenge to our story at the beginning of the show. Yeah.
Yes, the one of the bestest revenge stories. I am a. John Wick is so good, man. Like, it really is just such an entertaining movie.
Yeah, even all three of them are great. Right?
Yeah,
they're just such good films. And do you know what my favorite part about those films is? It's not the fact that it's got the action and everything else in. It's because they do the world building in that so well. Like there's this hotel where no one can do anything to other people. It's kind of against the rules, and there's kind of this whole structure set in place that goes around the city that just the average Joe doesn't realize is there. It's just very, very cleverly done. Very well done.
Iwan says J Wick. Heck yeah.
J Wick, that's great. Yeah, I like that.
That is absolutely fantastic.
Not Geo with a tier 3 sub for 29 months. 29 months.
That's wow. Just about as OG as it gets.
And that, if you think about it, that's 3 kids and change realistically. Fizky as well, subscribed for 29 months. Wow, 2 at 29 months next feature. That's awesome.
Thank you so much, guys.
And Bigfoot as well. NR Bigfoot. He's been subscribed for 12 months, and he says, "Hi, Dad." I'm not sure which was his dad, but let's go with it.
Oh, so I forgot to swap the name badges back. I'm sorry, guys. I know he's not Osiris.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh, what are you doing?
I just fixed it. Relax, it's fine now. It's still the pre-show. Things go wrong. Right? I remembered the cameras, just not the name tags.
This chat is what I have to put up with. This is standard.
This is the pinnacle of Top Clack production value. I don't know what more I could do for you, Jay. This is as good as it gets.
As good as it gets. Right, okay.
Chad Luke asking if I got a new camera. Nope, still rocking the webcam I've been using for a while. It's a Logitech Brio 4K webcam. Nothing terribly fancy, but It's better than a lot of the 1080p options.
It is, and the worst thing is that because we have so much compression between myself and Brian to actually get my video feed on stream, my camera always looks worse, even though I'm using a DSLR right now.
Yeah.
Which is very frustrating.
Yeah,
it's very frustrating.
You're using a better camera, and you look worse at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, hashtag top Clack things. It's just the way it goes.
Yep. just the way it is.
It's just the way it goes. Just relax.
Yeah. In fact, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a screen snip just so people can see the difference in quality between what my camera is actually capturing and what the quality is on stream.
So, but here's what I think, Jay. I think because you are so much better looking than me normally, I need better. I need better source, output. So I have to, change a lot of things around to make sure I look even halfway as good as you do.
Wow, right, okay. I've pasted that into the general. If anyone wants to go and look at it on the Discord, it's in general. But that's the difference in quality of my picture. Bear in mind there is a delay between what my camera sees and then what's seen on Twitch, because it has to go to Brian, then to Twitch, and then we've shown the internet. So there's about a 4-second delay between when I say something and when you guys hear it. But yeah, it's a huge difference in camera quality.
Yep. It's just one of the things that we put up with here, because that's what happens when we're across the world from each other.
Absolutely.
Yep. Wit Sellers with a tier 1 sub for 7 months says, "Hey guys, hey to you as well. Glad to have you around." And
nice.
Mo Zero also on a 29-month streak. Thank you so much.
29 months, guys. 29 months, and there's 3 of you this week. That's just crazy.
Is that the maximum amount of months?
Oof, it's really close. I think
it might be 30.
Right.
I think Captain Schwa's ahead of everyone by 1 month.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
Anyways, Talisman Solutions donates his signature 1,111 bits. Thank you so much. And Jack Static also subbing at tier 1 for 10 months. Thank you very much. He asking, was Jay Wick's story for real or joke? I just caught the end of it.
I mean, what do you think?
It's Jay. I mean, do you not think that Jay and John Wick are the same person? Because I do.
Talisman Solutions actually subscribed as well for 17 months now, so as well as the 1,111 bits, he's subscribed as well. Jace the Poop Scooper subscribed for 6 months, and Talisman has gifted a tier 1 sub to Existentially Yours as well, and given a total of 222 gift subs now in the chat. Wow, that's crazy.
Thank you so much.
And all of those subs and bits has got us to Hype Train level 4, so we're almost there. We're almost completing the Hype Train again. Did you get a Hype Train last week when I wasn't here?
I don't think so. I think the only time we've completed it was the very first time we got it, like 4 episodes ago, right? Or 5 episodes ago, somewhere around there.
Nice. Oh, he's A1A giving a subscription to Erin Mech as well, and Mr. Petrov giving 1,000 bits. There we go. That takes us up to something. It's flashing.
We get it.
The Hype Train
right? We did it.
Did we?
I think that's the final level, right?
Yay! Level 4 complete.
Level 4 complete. I think that's right.
Is that right?
There's either 4 or 5 levels. I can never remember.
I don't know.
Anyways, Funny Colors Man says, first time catching the stream in real time. Love your work. You guys are an effing life send for newcomers in the community. Thank you so much. That is quite literally the exact goal that we go for here. We try to make sure people can get the information they need in a very concise and informative way. Obviously, maybe not as concise as some others, but we try to bring a lot of discussion and thoughts and opinions as well. So very, very nice, very kind words. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. Frostfire as well with 19 months worth of subscriptions. And Talisman Solution gifted another tier 1 sub that went to Wilson1155, and that does put us a third of the way into level 5 of the Hype Train. So we're almost there. There.
We can't wait for too long though. We have to start the actual show here in a second.
Yeah, right. Well, Blading says top Clack and concise. Pick one. I think top Clack would be more concise without my rambles each week. It was probably more concise last week.
It's often very good information. Actually, it's kind of funny because Osiris and I thought very similarly towards the end, because we had a similar news doc, a really, really packed news doc last week, as we do this week. 13 key set topics alone. Osiris and I made it in about 2.5 hours. Whereas on a doc that size, you and I always cross the 3-hour mark.
Yeah, for sure, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we figured out the problem.
Yeah, yeah. It's our chemistry. That's the problem. Yeah,
Yeah, our chemistry's too good. We want to talk to each other so much for so long that we just keep talking. That's what I'm gonna go with here. That's what I'm gonna go with. One of these days, we'll get this show down to like 2 hours. It'll
Yeah,
be
we nearly
absolutely
did
amazing.
it a couple of weeks ago. We nearly did it. It was like 2 hours and 14 minutes or something. So we nearly got there, which was good. So we might get
Yeah.
there. A1A saying top clack. We need a J baiting emote, a J baiting emote.
J baiting.
With the way,
Okay.
yeah, with the way you debate everyone at the start of the stream. Oh, you mean the little stories that we do? Yeah, yeah, maybe,
What do you mean?
maybe.
That's not debating. These are, how, you can't prove these are not true stories.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, my dog was murdered and I went on a rampage, and a few weeks ago I moved to Bel Air. That happened.
A lot of things have happened. All right, let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, I live a very interesting life, guys. Right?
Jay is the most interesting man in the world. If you didn't know. Talisman Solutions gifting another tier 1 sub to Racing Draft. It's 225 gifted subs. Thank you so much, man.
No, he's keeping this hype train going alone. Yeah, he's almost getting there.
That's crazy. Yeah, it looks like we're not going to make it to the final payoff on the hype train this time, but that's okay. We don't always need to make it. We appreciate you guys putting in to try for that anyways. But the show must go on, and we don't want to ramble just for the sake of the hype train, because that would be quite unprofessional.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna roll the intro, and we're gonna hop right into this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode of Top Clack. I'm your host, Quakeums, joined as usual by my lovely co-host Jay, and we're going to talk all about keyboards this week, as you may have guessed. We do have a very stacked news doc for you this week, which is kind of surprising after how stacked it was last week as well, but apparently everyone's in their creative mode after the holidays, and everyone wants to just get down to it, so... strap yourselves in. It's going to be a relatively lengthy show. We're going to try to combat that a little bit, but it's not going to work as per usual. But that's okay because we love you guys here anyways. Jay, how you doing today, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited for the show. I'm glad to be back. Apologies to everyone for me not being here last week, but it seemed like the show was in good hands with Osiris. So thank you very much to Osiris for filling my chair whilst I wasn't able to attend last week. I'm feeling really good to be back though, dude. It feels really nice to be back on the show, and I really missed doing it last week. It was kind of like it almost ruined my week. It wasn't like the weeks where I've gone on holiday and I've been abroad and it's all been nice and sunny, and the alcohol's taken me away from worrying about not being on stream. So it's good to be back on the show this week.
Yeah, definitely always a pleasure to have you. I know, like the times when I've missed an episode, it's always the weirdest feeling because you're not used to it. You're just used to doing Top Clack every single week. And then when you miss it, it feels like you've been gone for eternity and you have no idea what's happening anymore.
Yeah, and it's like I haven't had a chance to catch up on what went on last week's show either, which I normally do if I miss a week. But I haven't had a chance to go back through the show. I've seen maybe 10 minutes of the intro with Osiris, but that's about it. So I do need to go back and watch and see what you guys talked about. But yeah.
It was a good time. Osiris is a good guy. Anyone that has no idea what the heck we're talking about, Jay was absent last week due to some real-life scheduling conflicts, so... he wasn't able to make it last week, unfortunately, but thankfully, last minute, Osiris, one of the co-hosts of Mechs on Deck, another keyboard content studio, decided he would help me out and step in after I asked him. He's a really good guy, really good friend, and he definitely helped me out a lot, because doing this show solo is a little rough lately, just because of how much has to go into the show compared to what it used to be. So it's very nice to have a co-host to play after. So whether he's watching or not, shout out to Osiris. Thank you so much for helping me out last week. But of course, Jay is homegrown Top Clack, sort of. So it's good to have him back.
Yeah, well, I was working this out. I've actually spent longer streaming for Top Clack than I did before Top Clack. Now we've kind of passed that tipping point.
Nice.
So there you go. So most of my streaming career has been on Top Clack. So there we go.
Yes, I've roped him in for long enough. Osiris looks different today, says JT. It's always funny whenever we have guest hosts. The next episode is always like, where's the guest host? Why didn't you replace Jay or Quakeums?
Yeah,
Yes.
the number of PMs I got after we had Gasp on the show when you couldn't make it about whether.
Oh no, I'm sure everybody wants to swap me for Gasp. I imagine.
I got like 20 messages about that within a day or so. So yeah.
that bums me out a little bit. It makes me think that people really just don't like me. Apparently.
Well, Petrov's just come back with it. Said this is great, but when is Gasp coming back? Yeah.
Yes, I know. Everybody loves Gasp. But you know, we're around too. We may not be as cool, but we're here. Anyways, yeah. Let's jump right into a mail call as is tradition, then we'll have a quick announcement, and then we'll roll into our news doc as always. Q&A section at the end of the stream, as we always do. So if you have questions, save them for later, and we will get to them promptly.
Awesome.
All right, Jay, why don't you start us out? Did you get anything cool in the last, I guess, 2 weeks at this point? Did you get anything in the last 2 weeks? For mail call.
Yeah, I did get more than this, but I kind of had a pile put to one side for last week's show, and then I've moved it, and I've no idea what it is, and I can't remember everything that's in it. So I'm not going to cover that. I'm just going to cover what I got this week. So the first thing I got was a big pack of alpaca switches from Prime Keyboards. I also got a really nice handwritten note from Halton, who runs Prime Keyboards. So thank you very much for that if you're watching, Halton. Very much appreciate that. And I also got a really interesting prototype of a board from Hedgie. So I have a few messages that I have to give to the 40s Discord server. So 40s bad, and it's a shambles. So there you go, guys. If you're watching, it's there. But I got this really cool keyboard. I haven't unwrapped it totally yet. I've taken it out of the packaging. But this is going to be a 39-key Alice layout board called the Jerkin 30. So you can see just in the top corner there it says Jerkin 30 just underneath the tape. So I haven't taken it apart any more than this yet, but I have got a whole raft of Pro Micros and God knows what else to build it with. So I'm really interested to try that out. Not sure what switches I'm going to put into it, but I'm wondering how I'm going to struggle with an Alice style layout on a 30% keyboard.
I can't imagine you using that layout. I'm sorry, Jay.
Yeah, I don't know, but we'll see. I'm going to build it. I'm going to try. So Hedgie stumped me a few bits about it. So him and Worldspawn have done this. I think he says it mentions him on the PCB, but I haven't taken the PCB out of the package yet. And yeah, they did it because I saw a similar Bluetooth board a few months back and said if it had like 3 more keys, it'd be completely usable. So this is why they made it. And yeah, the interesting thing as well is apparently it's got a macro that has a copy paster on it that I've got to do live on stream when I build it. But apparently, yeah, this is the worrying part. Apparently, it takes about 30 seconds for the macro to actually be typed out by QMK, which that tends to suggest it's going to be a huge paragraph of text. So I'm kind of nervous about that.
I don't want to be the buzzkill, but if it breaks terms of service, I'm going to be really upset.
They promised me it doesn't break terms of service, but that's all they've promised me. So I'm nervous. All
right. As long as TOS isn't broken. I don't like doing that kind of stuff on stream because it only takes once for the channel to get shut down.
Yeah, well, the other board that I had that quite recently is I built the little ISO macro pad a couple of weeks ago, which is really cool and cute. And there we go, with the international kit enter on it. And this actually has a really good macro involved. So when you press the key for the first time, it actually spits out instructions on how to code it in QMK and everything else and use VIA or VIA to do it. So when I first tested it and I load up Switch Hitter and I tapped it, it spammed all over Switch Hitter. And I was like, oh, it's broken. There's something wrong here. And then I actually tried clicking in like a Word document and seeing what came out, and it gave the whole list of instructions on how to use it and how to program it, which is really quite clever. So that kind of copy pasta is good. I'm not quite sure what Hedgie and Worldspawn have got in mind with me for this, so I'm interested to see. But apparently this is in a one-off color as well. This is in kiwi green, and they're not going to run this color anymore. So I kind of feel a bit privileged.
I do like that color a lot, actually.
It's really good. It's really nice.
It's really pretty.
Kind of like. It's kind of a really nice green. It's lovely. So yeah, I'm interested to build that in a couple of weeks. I'll fit it into the build schedule somewhere, and we'll try it out.
Cool. All right. Well, my week was pretty short. I got one thing. I got Olive, GMK Olive. Haven't put it on the board yet. I did take off the plastic wrap, but I haven't actually taken anything out of the tray yet. So is this going to fall on me? But yeah, GMK Olive. I have no idea what I'm going to put this on yet, but I don't know. We'll find something.
Nice. Yeah, looks good. It looks good. I'm actually a really big fan of Olive. I've been bugging my keyboard.eu about extras for that because I missed out on the group buy, and I'm kind of regretting that now. It looks really good in pictures.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I kind of forgot I ordered it, to be totally honest, and then I got the novelty shipping, and I was like, ooh,
nice.
That's the best part about group buys. Sometimes you just forget, and then when something shows up, you're like, yes, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah, actually, that reminds me, you've got your Southpaw since we last spoke, right?
That's true, yeah. I think I showed it off on the mail call last week. But yeah, I got my Southpaw in a little over a week ago at this point. I think it was the day I was on in Keycap, so the Friday before last, I think is when it came in. So yeah, that's gonna be pretty fun. Upcoming build stream for that once the switches that I ordered for it arrive.
Nice, that's definitely something I'll check out when you build it, because I'm interested to see what you think of that after waiting so long for the board.
Yeah, man, it was too long. But anyways, let's jump into the actual show here. So, quick announcement before we move into the news doc. If you guys are wondering with what happened last week with Behind the Keyboard, there was supposed to be an episode. There was supposed to be my very first episode of Behind the Keyboard last Friday. But sadly, there were a lot of complications. We couldn't really get a stable video or audio connection to the guest because he was in an office and let's just say his equipment wasn't very top quality. So we decided to reschedule for when he'll actually be home, which is going to be not tomorrow, but the Friday after. So next Friday, I will be able to get him on. He's going to be home. He's going to have the proper equipment. It's going to be a lot better. Yeah, it was kind of a nightmare. We spent I don't know, it must have been at least an hour trying to troubleshoot the video alone, and we just got nothing. So we just decided to postpone it because I didn't really want to launch my first episode with ridiculously sketchy video and audio. So yeah, sorry about that, guys, but look forward to next week where it should all be a-okay. And
yeah, I'm kind of glad it wasn't last week because I'd have missed that as well. So I'm kind of glad that it's going to be.
I was legitimately bummed because I was like, I had hyped myself up so much for it. I was in the mindset for it. I was like, everything's ready. We're gonna launch this. It's gonna be great. And then we got into a video call, and I thought, oh no. This only gets worse. He had to use his phone for video, and I was like, no, we're just not doing this. We're just gonna redo it when you're home. It was a bummer because the day after he left for a trip for almost 2 weeks, which he's still on. So we couldn't even do this Friday, unfortunately. So we had to reschedule for next Friday. Anyways, sure. It's scheduled, it's settled. Barring extreme emergency circumstances, next week should be finally a go for that series. So, interviews are without a doubt the number one thing people most ask me for to bring to Top Clack or bring back to Top Clack, I guess, at this stage. So I'm really happy to hopefully get that started finally. Anyway, everyone keeps commenting on my webcam. I'm using the same camera. It's because I'm aiming the lights at me. So I have lights, crappy little LED bulbs here that have some old white t-shirts for diffusion rubber banded over them. That's how ghetto Top Clack is. Normally I have those on, but I don't usually point them directly at my face. Today I'm pointing them directly at my face, so I'm being blinded, but you get a little bit better definition because of that. So my sacrifice is your gain in theory.
Yeah, which is fine, and my camera is actually really good, but because of all the compression, my picture quality always looks terrible. So, yeah.
Is it possible Twitch is using more bandwidth for you? I mean, I'm the one streaming, and I'm the one directly feeding my camera source into OBS, whereas Jay has additional levels of compression, which is why I tend to usually look more crisp than Jay does. That's just the way it is, because we're in different places in the world, so...
Yeah, so we have to use a video... software suite, which basically is me encrypting my camera connection to Brian, and then Brian has to take that from his desktop and transpose the imagery into the Twitch client, which again is another layer of compression, and then it goes to Twitch, which is another layer of compression. So Brian goes through one, and I go through 3 layers of compression, and by the time you see my image, it's very, very different.
Yeah.
If you guys look at the streams I've hosted where I did it with Quer, the picture quality is significantly different. It's one of those things, there's nothing we can do about it. The only way we could fix it is we can do a clever type of server where we both stream to the same thing, and then that streams to Twitch, and that gives us exactly the same picture quality. But it works on a huge delay, and we'd have to delay audio versus video, and we would end up with a mismatch in sound and video quality, so it's just not worthwhile.
Yeah, we've looked into it before. It's outrageously complex and wouldn't really help us overall. It would just introduce more problems while maybe fixing 1 or 2 others, so Not really worth it. But anyways, alas, let's actually get into our news doc here.
Yeah, let's start.
Yeah, so we're trying not to go for 3-hour shows here, Jay, and you and I still just keep rambling because we're just so used to it. Sheesh.
Yep.
We're the worst. Anyways, let's get into the news doc here. First topic up is the interest check for the Evolv, which is a new keyboard coming to you from Nathan Alphaman, who I believe this is his very first keyboard design. He has designed keyset colorways before, but I believe this is his first foray into actual keyboard kits. And boy, what an interesting design this is. So there's a lot of things going on here. So I'm just going to run off some specs while I show you a little picture here. So, typical stuff, 7.5 degree angle. Here we have 7,000 series aluminum, which is pretty cool. I always love seeing that. Most people use 6,000 series or even 5,000 series aluminum. I do find that the 7,000 series aluminum is so noticeably more durable. So, glad to see that. The bottom is actually going to use 3D printed aluminum, effectively. There's a little bit of a more of a breakdown and explanation in the thread, which I do suggest you read. But it's effectively 3D printed aluminum for the base, and I'll show that in just a second. The plate is very interestingly designed to get you a very consistent flex across every single key. And you'll see in a second, the plate is absolutely wild to look at. The downside there is it is only going to support a single fixed layout, and you will be limited to 1.5U right shift, which is pretty interesting. PCB is going to have QMK, VIA, and USB-C. Very nice to see that. The overall weight is going to be around 3 kilograms, which is a little over 6.5 pounds or so. Color choice is pretty much non-existent. You're going to get this color only, which I believe is an E-white, but I could be wrong. Someone will correct me in chat, I'm sure. But it is a pretty nice color, and then the bottom color, I believe, is non-existent as well. You only have the one choice there. But the knob in the top right corner is actually rather interesting. So you might see that and be like, okay, it's like the Satisfaction 75 or something like that. Just a knob, rotary encoder kind of thing. No, this is also a joystick, which I found pretty awesome. So you can kind of just move it like you would a joystick on a controller. Left, north, east, south, west, and all the other diagonal directions as well. So really, really cool to see that. You're going to have a lot of options there. You can also press it down. So it basically gives you 9 additional functionalities as opposed to just being a knob. So I really, really, really like seeing that. It's pretty darn awesome. All right, so let's take a look at this plate though, because the plate is quite interesting. So if you look at this, you might see this and think, wow, that is outrageous, that is ridiculous, and that is going to be incredibly flimsy. In which case, I would agree. Upon first glance, this would be quite an interesting specimen, and I think this is probably why he went with a 7,000 series aluminum, because this might not be nearly as durable or as possible if you had went with a less durable aluminum. So I think he's in chat. Maybe he can correct me on that if I'm wrong, but that's the assumption that I'm going to go with. But look at this plate, Jay. What do you think about this? To try to get a consistent feel across every key.
So I think it's really interesting. I think, first of all, it looks very space age and kind of futuristic and all of that kind of stuff. I know you're not going to see the plate when you've got keycaps and everything else, but it is really, really interesting. One of the things that I would say is that you can see that you've got huge gaps where you've got the stabilized keys and things like that, which makes perfect sense. And there is that does lead to a little bit of a design convenience, which we'll cover later on as well. But I think my view on this is, with the fact that it's integrated, is really good for this particular style. I would not want to put a plate like this that was made from another piece of metal into the case, so something like this cut from brass or otherwise. I don't think that would work particularly well. It'd be too flimsy, it'd be too disconnected. It would be very, very difficult to make something like this that was a separate plate that had enough rigidity, even in and of itself, to post.
It's not even really possible. You have to do this way. I don't think there's another way to really go about it, unless you do like a much thicker plate.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there'd be ways and means around it, but yeah, absolutely. I think going integrated plate was really interesting for this. What I am really, really interested about is how much flexibility this offers. Now, I get that this is designed for consistency and not necessarily flexibility, but given how little material there is connecting a lot of these bits to the case, how much depression you're actually going to get when you start typing on that, and how deep the case is there going to be any issues with touching the 3D printed bottom? Now, I know it comes with foam and underneath and everything else like that. But I'm really interested to see how high the gap is. And one of the things I was hoping that Nathan was going to do was have kind of like an exploded view that showed us what everything was like inside. But I haven't seen that as yet, because I'm really interested as to how that all fits together in there and how much space there is for flex as well when you come down through. So I'd be interested to see that. In terms of the layout itself, completely appreciate why he's picked one layout. This is a board that I would pick up and use ANSI on, even though I'm not an ANSI user, not just because that's the only thing it offers, but because I can completely understand why he's picked that for this particular board. Doing those integrated plates is very, very difficult, and you wouldn't want to have multiple versions of that, floating around. In terms of the 1.5U shift, I do have... So personally, I'd prefer to have the 1.75U there, and I know the reason why he's done it, and the reason why he's picked it is so that those bezels between the alpha cluster and the right-hand column and the arrow keys, that line that comes down to the arrow keys goes all the way around the top of the arrow keys. That's all consistent and even there, which I completely get, makes sense from a visual perspective. I absolutely like it from a visual perspective. From a keycap compatibility perspective, though, there isn't any sets today that offer a 1.5U shift that I'm aware of. Now, I was speaking. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I was speaking to Nathan in voice chat earlier on today. He does have some plans and opportunities for that, so I'll let him talk about those in his own time.
Sure. But I think we have to talk about the 1.5U shift a little bit more, though. Is it worth it for the aesthetic payoff? Because you're right, it does look better. You get that uniform. I think that's 0.25U spacer between everything, and you're right. It does look amazing. It is an aesthetic payoff for sure. But is it worth not being able to use pre-existing GMK sets on this?
For me, no, and the main reason for that is because of how it affects the bottom row. So it basically means that you've got slightly less room on the bottom row. So I would much rather have the 7U bottom row opportunity on there, and I don't believe that this supports that. Right, this is just a 6.25U space option. You can't. You could, even if you wanted to, you couldn't fit a 7U bottom row option in here, and that's the bigger detractor for me. It's not the fact that it's a 1.5U shift, it's the fact that it then really limits to what you can do on that bottom spacebar row.
I completely agree too. It's interesting because I think the aesthetic payoff on the arrow cluster, where you do get this 0.25 uniform blocker around everything, is amazing, and it does look great. But because you go with that, not only do you get the 1.5U shift, the bottom row just doesn't look very good. Look at this. Not only do you have the 6.25 spacebar, but you have 1.51 and 1.5 on the left side, and then 1.25, 1.25 on the right side. To me, that looks way too unbalanced. I don't really like it because of that.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thoughts I have. I mean, I would the bottom row is the only thing I dislike visually about this particular board. I think it will look fine on sets that are monochrome. So if you're using GMK 9s or minimal or something like that, I don't think you'll notice it. But when you start to use a key set that's got mod colors and alpha colors, the keycaps are separate. I think that's where it becomes a little bit more noticeable. So for me, the bottom row is the only thing that lets it down, and I can see why he's gone for that. I absolutely get it. When you look at the right hand side of the board, it looks fantastic. It looks great. I like the fact that it's the same, distance around all of the keys. I think that aesthetic is really nice. It's just a real shame that it affects the bottom row in such a negative way for me. Now, that's not Nathan's fault. That's just the literal math of it.
Yes. It's a design choice. It's a design choice. There's pros and cons. He has decided that the pros for him outweigh the cons. Everyone obviously has to go through that exact same process. To me, this layout has more con than pro for me personally. Thankfully, that's my least favorite part of the board, because everything else about this board I do like quite a bit. He does a lot of things that we haven't really seen before, including the plate that we just got done talking about, which is absolutely wild. But if you can pull that plate off properly, I think that's going to be absolutely amazing. Not only that, let's move on to what might be the one of the biggest draws of this board, if not the biggest, if I can find a good picture of it, which is the bottom. I guess I'm going to have to go with this picture. Let's go with this one. So, like I mentioned before, it's effectively a 3D printed aluminum bottom. So it's all extruded, and you get kind of this. I really wish there was a better picture of this in here, but you get kind of this webbed. Yeah, I don't know. This one seems like to have the best lighting. You get this kind of web effect on the bottom that is supposed to be outrageously durable. I think he says somewhere in the thread that it can support being driven over by a car.
Yeah.
which is pretty wild. Obviously, maybe a little overkill and unnecessary for a keyboard, but look at that! Look how cool that looks, Jay.
It looks amazing, and it's a couple of things. So it's using new technologies, 3D printing. We don't often see that in keyboards. I mean, we see the odd 3D printed case and things like that, but we don't ever see 3D printed metal cases. So this is the first time we're seeing that, and the material it's using is metal. Now, one of the interesting things, he's using the aluminium version of that metal. There are iron and copper and other versions of that as well. I don't know if Nathan's considered using those as well, or offering those as different options. I know he says in the IC that there's only one choice, but I completely respect that. But I've not seen any of this material in real life. I've never touched it and held it. I've only seen it in pictures. So I'll be really interested to see how it feels and how light it is compared to what you'd expect from a solid block of aluminium that would usually be used to take up that space. But the actual design of it's quite clever as well, because what it is it's effectively two wedges, and then it's got the extruded parts in between it. Which give it its strength and rigidity, but the two plates effectively also kind of give it the alpha look, which I kind of like that it refers back to his logo, the name of his brand, and everything else. Coming from and I kind of like that it's reminiscent of that within the board. If you look at it on the angle, if you tilt the board up vertically and look at the base, it's going to give you that kind of A shape. So I like the consistency with that. I like the design. I think using new materials is great. New printing processes is absolutely fantastic. I'm really interested to see how he brings this into production, gets a prototype, and then takes it into group buy, because I will absolutely buy one of these.
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised they were able to get the board as heavy as they were, 3 kilograms. There's no dedicated weight on this board. The bottom is 3D printed aluminum, the top is aluminum. Like, where does all that weight come from in this board? And look at the plate. Look at the plate too. The plate has, it's almost non-existent because of the method he's trying to use here. So you lose a lot of material that way. It's interesting. That 7000 series aluminum must really just be that much heavier.
It is a little bit heavier. It's a little bit more dense, which is why it's more robust, as you commented on earlier on. But I think it's in the bottom itself. So when I look at the bottom, I see, whilst those two kind of plates that the bottom's made up of and then connecting to strands, they're going to be quite solid. They're going to be thick slabs of material. So they're a couple of millimeters thick. They're not thin parts. They're slabs of material. So depending on how dense it is and how dense it is, it gets towards the top of that A-frame shape as you come to the front of the board as well. There's probably parts in there which are quite solid too. So in fact, you can see it on the image you're showing now. You can see how it kind of levels off inside and becomes quite a thick piece going forward, and the strands are just at the back.
Yeah.
So
it's not the web all the way through effectively.
Yeah.
But man, that's got to be one of the coolest looking things I've ever seen in this community.
It's super cool.
The board is so unique because of that bottom, because of this plate, because of that joystick. I mean, I guess the real downside to all of this kind of new innovation and all the cool feature set is the price, right? There's no price estimated here, and it's kind of a bummer. But I can assume that it's going to be pretty high. He does say a large number here. I think he was trying to ballpark sub 1,000. He was really trying to make sure this was under $1,000, I believe. Yeah. And man, I do too, because this might be the most expensive keyboard I'll ever buy.
Yeah, if this is under 1K, I think it's a winner. I mean, it's new processing, it's new tools, it's new technology, it's stuff that hasn't actually been industrialized yet. You don't really see this much. So the only place I was talking to Nathan about this. He had some other examples, but the only place I'd seen this technology being used previously was for things like heat sinks and stuff like that, like industrial level heat sinks. He'd seen it in bicycles and a few other bits and pieces as well. So it's not something that's truly industrialized yet. So finding manufacturers that can do it and do it at a low price point is potentially the sticking point here. What I would say though is that once this becomes more commercially viable, the way it's positioned and how you actually produce it could make it cheaper. If it's something that becomes significantly more producible within other communities and other industries, then that may drop the price.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, it's very new to our community at the very least. So we gotta pay those high prices to try to see what can and cannot work. I am dying to see a prototype of this. really, really want to see that. I don't even know if he has one yet, or if he has one on the way, maybe. But man, we got to see a proto of this.
Absolutely, yeah. I definitely want to see a prototype of it. Yes.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see, but this is looking pretty amazing in my opinion. Looking like one of the more interesting and unique boards that we've seen in quite some time. And that makes me happy, Jay. That makes me very happy.
Yeah, some innovation, right?
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, we'll check this out once again when it does get to the group buy phase. And Nathan, when you get that prototype, make sure to post some pictures.
Yeah, or if you want to do a build stream, man, hey, I'm just offering.
Yes, if you want either of us to do a build stream of this, let us know. Please let us know.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. Let's move on to the next keyboard in our list. This is an interest check for the I don't know if it's Lyra or Lyra. I've been saying Lyra, so I'm going to stick with that. But someone in chat can of course correct me if I'm wrong. And this is. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was going to correct you straight away. I think it's Lyra.
Is it Lyra? Okay.
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
I like saying Lyra more. I don't know. Just I think it rolls off the tongue a little bit better. Jay, come on. Let me have my cake.
Sure, you pronounce it one way, I'll pronounce it. But you know, when you consider how the name's used in media, so the Philip Pullman Dark Material series, Lyra, Balaqua, you know, gotta go with that.
Gosh, Jay.
Anyway,
I just can't have any. I can't have anything nice, can I, Jay?
Don't worry about it. Just tell us about the board. Go on, tell us about it.
All right. So this is he calls it a 60%, and I know that's going to be a little controversial here based on you know, the way a lot of people view percentages. But this is also why the percentage system is silly, because yes, this has as many keys as a 60% keyboard. Does that make it a 60%, or is this an extended 40%, or 50%, or 55%? It's silly. Anyways, let's actually talk about the board. So this is actually inspired by the Candy Bar, which ran not too long ago on TKC. So if you're familiar with that board, this might look fairly familiar. He wanted something similar, but something that also offered split spacebar. So this is kind of what he came up with. So this is the Lyra or Lyra. And just like the Evolv, this also uses 7000 series aluminum and is Cerakoted, which is kind of nice. I love seeing that.
Yeah.
It is going to use a 6-degree angle, a black palm plate, which is pretty interesting. PCB is going to be hot swap, USB-C, and QMK. The MOQ for this is 50, and at least the prototype, at the very least, is made in the EU. So yeah, that's pretty cool as well. The mounting system also kind of interesting. If you take a look at this, you'll think, hey, that's just tray mount. Look at that. You can just post it along the edges there. And yes, it is effectively a tray mount, but it's a little bit different. So traditionally in tray mount boards, what you do is you put the plate PCB assembly together, you put that in the case, and then you screw it in using the stand-ups on the bottom of the case, and usually that's held down by the PCB. So you screw it into the PCB, you screw it through the plate. Plate doesn't even come in contact with the screws. Here, It's actually quite the opposite. So instead of screwing in the PCB, you screw in the plate around the edges. So even though it's tray mount, you have no middle standoffs here. You have nothing preventing flex. And the plate, remember, is palm. So you're actually going to get a decent amount of flex, even though this isn't, you know, traditionally a top mount or anything. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting, and there's a couple of other boards that do this kind of thing as well. The Canoe is one of them. It actually screws down where you put the plate onto the base and screw it down. Now, the Canoe has kind of tabs on one side that we see here, so you can see there's tabs, and then on the other side of the Canoe, it's actually into the flat base. I think on the front edge it's tabs, and on the top edge it's just the flat edge of the case. So other boards have done it, and it is much more beneficial. Sometimes it's called bottom mount, sometimes it's called tray mount, depending on how the positions are. Now, I think this fits more into the bottom mount category because you're mounting the plate rather than mounting the PCB, which I class tray mount as PCB mount, effectively rigid, firm right underneath the piece, underneath the PCB. So,
when you think about exactly what top mount means, this would be exactly what bottom mount would mean.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the precise opposite. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But looks pretty darn interesting nonetheless. Their starting price, they're looking at about $250 plus shipping. That is an estimate, of course, but what do you think about the design of the board overall? I feel like it looks kind of similar to the brutal in terms of how he has the kind of top and bottom layer where the top really kind of over arcs the bottom.
Yeah,
but he has a lot more curvature going on here, obviously, and a little bit more bezel, a little bit more chamfer. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, it's a one-piece case. I think it looks fine as it is. I don't dislike the design. I think it's quite simple. One of the things that I do like is the front edge that's kind of got the sharp angle before it goes onto the vertical edge coming straight off the base. I kind of like that. That's kind of a neat front edge design for me. I'm really interested in that. It's going to look like it's floating almost when you look at it from the front on. There isn't really a picture that really shows that off.
I was trying to find it. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the little slope here on the front that you can kind of see in this corner shot here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There is a picture with the mouse on it. Kind of, it's not quite the right angle to see, but you can kind of see how it almost looks like it makes it like it's floating, which is nice. It's a nice little design detail. I like it. But we need a real shot in light that kind of shows that off. I think none of the other shots are quite light enough to see it. So. I think that's fine. The case design is okay. I don't have any problems with it. I think the layout is the interesting thing for me. The fact that you have got what's effectively a 45% plus arrows plus a numpad all in one kind of layout is really good. And I know we both kind of really intrigued by the candy bar when TKC brought that out. And I think this is probably maybe almost like the next step in the development of that kind of layout as well. So interesting that there's so many options for it as well. There's a lot of different things you can do with the layout in terms of space bars and enter key positions, backspace positions, and shift positions, and all sorts of other stuff as well. So it looks pretty interesting.
Yeah. Just while we're on this topic, I do want to get chat's opinion on the percentage of this layout. What do you guys call this in chat? Is this a 40%? Is it an extended 40%? Is it a 50%? Is it a rearranged 60%? How do you classify this by percentage, chat? Also, shout out to Plume Keyboards for the 17-person raid. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate that.
Welcome, guys. Welcome. While chat's coming up with this, I'm going to tell you what my view on it is. We should stop using percentages to describe layouts, and this can be whatever they want it to be. Give it a name.
Big thumbs up.
Because to me, counting the number of keys and basing it on a full-size keyboard and then saying what percentage that is never a good way of doing it, because then you've got things like 65% and 66 key keyboards, which you've got a higher number on a 66 key keyboard describing a board that has less keys than a 65%. I really hate the fact that naming clementia exists. I think
what's funny is that the community so readily and widely accepts it too.
Yeah.
Like everyone, we say 60%, 65%, almost, unless you're pretty much brand new, everyone in chat knows exactly what those are. But what would you call this? Because once you 60% kind of works as a standard, kind of, even though it's still like somewhat unofficial, it's more official than all the rest of them. So like we don't really have something to call this.
But how often do people call a TKL an 87% or whatever that works out to?
Exactly.
Don't really do that. So.
I completely agree with you. That percentage system should just be done away with entirely. We have a 10 keyless keyboard. We can come up with a different name for a 60. Just call it a compact or something. Or you can get more creative than that. But you just gotta have a different name for it. Like. And something like this can just be this. It can be whatever it wants. It doesn't need to be a 60%. It doesn't need to be a 40% or a 50%. That's how I feel about it as well. And chat obviously has no idea what this is either. Like, a lot of people are saying 40%, extended 40%. Melodit says 55%. Like, there's nothing agreed upon here, and that's a problem. Because we've been doing this for quite a few years now. This isn't like a brand new kind of layout or alteration. We've had 45% for years now, and we've had extended 40% or whatever people want to call them. Like, this isn't totally new, and I feel like we really do need to nail down a better way to describe these layouts that don't have to do with how many keys it is based on a full-size keyboard, which is
exactly
an awful way
how I feel about it. Talisman says it just looks like Olivia to him, so
just looks like Olivia.
Yeah, well done.
I love when the meme crosses over just from key sets over to keyboards. All keyboards are GMK Olivia now as well.
Yeah.
What do you guys in chat think? What would you call this? What would be the name to call this particular rough size?
I think TKC hit the nail on the head with this layout. It's the candy bar layout.
Candy bar.
That's kind of the thing. Give it a name. The police has been suggesting the baguette layout. Again, yeah, fine. It kind of works for it. Kind of fits.
Cricket bat without a handle. All right.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, Mr. Petrov, but that's a little bit of long of a name to actually to get.
It's a bit long of a board.
Well, yeah.
47%. You guys are silly. All right. Anyways, I wish we could come up with some better terminology within our community for some of the more, especially some of the more obscure layouts.
Yeah, let's be honest. Let's not detract this from the board itself. The naming clementure, irrespectable. I think this board's got a lot of potential. I like the mounting system. I like the fact that it's a cheap price. I like the fact that it offers a lot of functionality on what is quite a small form factor package. If you're someone who can cope with that, a few punctuation keys and put them on a layer, this could be really functional for a work board. You know, this could be ideal for someone who does spreadsheets on the go, for example. That kind of stuff. It could be really, really useful.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a pretty fun and unique mid-range keyboard, and it's at a mid-range price. What more do you want? Yeah, it looks
the
fun.
fact that it's EU made as well. I'm wondering if this is Salvan or someone else.
Yeah, actually, the price seems oddly good for being made in the EU and using 7000 series aluminum.
Yeah, now I haven't seen this one on any of Salvan's Insta stories, but I haven't kept up to date with them this past week, so it could have been. Yeah, it looks really good quality. It looks like it's milled nicely. The Cerakoting quality looks great. So it may well be Salvan, or it could be somewhere else. I don't know. We'll have to reach out and find out. But lots of color options as well. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 different color options. So it's really interesting.
Heck yes. Wow, yeah, that's a lot of Smith & Wesson Red. All right, there you go. Fantastic.
Smith & Wesson Red, yeah. I think if I was going to get one of these, it'd have to be Zombie Green or Corvette Yellow. They're probably the two colors that jump out at me the most.
Yeah, I like that they're Cerakoted as well. That's pretty cool. I feel like we don't get very many keyboard group buys where the default option is Cerakote. So glad to see that. Looks pretty interesting. But let's move on to our next keyboard topic here. We're not going to talk a whole lot about this because we talked about it at length a few episodes ago. So if you want to hear a little bit more thoughts on the new TX offerings, make sure to go check out one of those past episodes where we did talk about this because we talked about it a lot. But anyways, now all the new TX lineup, all the V2 stuff, as well as the new TX 66 and 660C type stuff. All available now in the US. They launched it in Korea, I believe, a couple weeks ago, but now we're actually getting the US version. So if you were able to wait and not have someone else proxy it from you from Korea, your patience is being rewarded. It's all available now. They have the new TX60, they have the new TX65. They have the new TX66, as well as my personal favorite in the lineup, the new 660C case. So this is an aftermarket case for the Leopold 660C, which is a Topra board. This is a replacement case for it, so you have to buy this as well as the Leopold 660C, and then you just transmit the innards of the 660C over to this TX case. So obviously not a cheap endeavor, but as far as high-end Topra goes, I feel like that'd be a really nice setup. As far as stock Topra boards go, I think the 660C is probably one of the better ones, if not the best overall stock typing experience for Topra. So really looking forward to this. I'm actually considering buying one of these because I do think it looks pretty good on its own as well. So very happy to see that. How do you feel about all these new TX offerings? Glad to see them?
I think it's great. Yeah, I think it's nice to see Kin come out with something else. As we talked, I know we talked about it length the other day when we were talking this through. Still a few questions outstanding for me on, especially looking at that 660C case. Which base do you get? Because it shows both that grilled base and the non-grilled base. So, and it doesn't show you an option to select which one you want. So. Interesting on those fronts, but either way, I think both designs look great. The TX cases have always been really, really solid bits of high quality custom keyboards. It's TX is a brand known for years for its level of quality and stuff. And I've had a number of TX boards over the years, so I'm absolutely happy to see this. I think it's great that now these are available much more easily in the rest of the world and not just in Korea, so that really opens it up. And there's probably a couple of these boards I'm going to look into. The TX660C is probably going to be my first foray into Topra myself.
You're going to get one.
I think I'm going to get one and get a Leopold as well. I think so. Yes, that's.
I want to hear some wholesomeness in chat for Jay embarking on his first foray into Topra. The man owns like 1,000 boards, tons of custom boards and GMK sets, and the man doesn't have a Topra board in his collection to speak of. So
yeah, I just never had one.
This is going to be a good start. I really think the 660C is a fantastic board from Leopold, and you know, like you were talking about, TX is legendary. Their quality is good. They're very much an established presence in the keyboard community. They do a lot of good stuff, and you know, they really helped pioneer a lot of the Korean designs over into the Western market. So you can't knock them for that. They have a lot of good products at pretty reasonable prices, and I'm looking forward to that 660C, man.
Yeah, the one thing I wish is that Leopold had done a 660C in ISO, but they only ever did an ANSI one. They did the 660M in both variants, but they never did the yeah. Which is a shame, because there is some real force boards out there that do ISO. But anyway, that's fine. I definitely want to pick both those up and build it, and then we'll decide afterwards whether I'm keeping it or not. We'll try it out for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Leo in chat is asking if you guys have a stream schedule. We sort of do. It is listed in our Discord, which is linked below. There's a scheduling channel. But the short of it is this main flagship series is kind of our news discussion Q&A series. Happens every single Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific. And then Jay pretty much always does a build stream on Sundays as well. I'm going to be bringing back interviews in a series called Behind the Keyboard. That's probably going to be on Fridays every single week or every other week, depending on how I find guests. But yeah, more information in the Discord below. Anyways, TX keyboards, good stuff. Make sure you check these out if they look interesting to you, because the quality is going to be pretty nice as well.
Yeah, go show Kin and Popcorn some love, because they do great work.
Absolutely. All right, moving out of keyboards and over to the realm of key sets, of which there are a ton this week.
Should we try and do some quick fire?
We're gonna have to. We had 13 key set topics last week. We have 13 key set topics this week. That's 26 key set topics over 2 episodes. That is insane.
I'm gonna try something new. I'm gonna set a timer.
I like it.
For 3.5 minutes.
You guys are witnessing Top Clack history right now.
So, I hope it doesn't go off too loud and wake everyone in my household up. But I'm going to set a timer for 3.5 minutes. And after 3.5 minutes, if we haven't already moved on, then we will move on as soon as the alarm goes off. All right?
I love it. Hopefully chat feels the same. Okay. We're gonna give this a try and see how it happens, because as all of you know, Jay and I like to talk, we like to ramble, and sometimes we don't know when or how to catch ourselves, and that is detrimental to the show's time.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a countdown, Brian. I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, go, and that's when I'm going to hit the start button. And I have got the timer up here. You can see there, guys, 3 minutes, 30 seconds. So, Brian, ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, this is the interest check for Cat Ice Dragon. This is from Drifting Bunnies. And like all other cat sets, I love it because it's cat. But the overall theme here is kind of this, Chinese culture dragon type thing. And I think he pulls it off pretty well. Let me scroll down to some renders so I can show it off. I think the colors came out pretty darn well. Let's take a look at the kit breakdown, which is going to be pretty quick. Cat sets tend to have pretty good kit breakdowns because of the way they do MOQ. It's a lot different from how someone like SP or GMK does MOQ, so you can get away with a lot more with the key creative lineup of profiles. And here you have lots of different options. You have alphas, you have the, I don't know how to pronounce that, but you have the Zhuyin alphas, which I think are absolutely beautiful. You have a couple different mod options, whether you want text or icon. You have lots of different compatibility kits, so if you need UK ISO, numpad, spacebars, etc. Novelties kit here, I think, is quite strong. I think it's one of the better novelties kits I've seen lately.
Really good, actually.
Really good. Yeah. There is, of course, a 40s and ortho kit. Very nice. And, you have kits for everything. Whether you want text icons for your 40s or icons for your 40s, you got it. Ergodox, Culverac, all there. Jay, how do you feel about this set?
I really, really like it. And this isn't even going to be all of the kits either, because there's also Nordic kits and everything else to come as well that's going to be put into this as well, looking at the details below. I think this looks really, really nice. I like the fact that the alphas are darker than the mods.
I love that. No one ever does that, but I love it.
Yeah, we don't see it often enough. I completely agree. I think it looks really good. The renders, I think they look like Metallic Charles renders. I haven't checked, but they do look like his, so I hope I'm right on that. just going by the quality of them, I think it looks great in those colours. The blue that's been picked for the legends on the mods and for the alpha colour is really, really nice. I think this set's great. For a cat set, this is a must buy for me as well. And I bought a few cat sets this year already. This is definitely right up my street. Just jumping back to those mods as well, they really fit this theme super well. The novelties, sorry, not mods, the novelties. They really fit this theme super well. I don't know what the legends mean on the text ones, but
I don't need to.
Dragons, the clouds, I think they all look so good. The little one new keycaps with the dragon head straight on is amazing, and the ANSI versus ISO enters.
The ISO enter. The ISO enter is my favorite key in this pack. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, it means Ice and Dragon. Thank you, OCM. Thank you very much for confirming that. Ice and Dragon. Yeah, it looks great. It fits the theme perfectly. This, for me, I hope it makes it out of IC and into group buy, because I'd be all over this. Drifting Bunnies has been knocking it out the park with his set designs recently, and this is no exception.
Yep, completely agree. The set looks fantastic. Colors are great. Novelties, I am absolutely in love with. And it's cat profile, so A, I already love it, and B, you're going to have every single key that you possibly need across 800 bazillion kits, because you're able to do that with Key Creative, so that's always nice to see. Jay, how's our time?
17 seconds left.
70 seconds left? Fantastic. All right, retime. Let's move on to the next topic.
Okay, so, right, 3, 2, 1, and go.
All right, next up, we have the interest check for GMK Nautilus 2. Note, not Round 2, not V2, but GMK Nautilus 2. So he is bringing back this colorway, which did pretty successfully back in, I think it was 2017 when this ran on Mass Drop.
It was over 1,000 kits, right, the first time?
It was one of the first, if not the first, GMK set to cross that 1,000 threshold. It was also, I think, possibly the first GMK set that was $100.
Yeah, right.
For a base kit.
It hit that price.
And it had a pretty full base kit, too, because at that point in time, nobody broke out GMK kits. There weren't, 3, 4, 5 GMK kits for every set. It was, you had one base kit, and that was, like, basically it, so...
Yeah. I think they just had base kit, and then there was a novelties kit, and that was pretty much it, if I remember correctly. There wasn't much else in terms of that.
Yeah.
But here it's slightly different. There's a couple of different kits. You've got a core kit, which covers everything from standard TKL, ANSI layouts, 65% HHKB, and numpad as well. Additionally to that, there's also the Explorer kit, which gives you a lot of extension keys and space bars and multiple other bits as well, which is that's quite a good kit, actually. I quite like that. We should come back to talking about that at the end.
Sure.
Then there's a 40s kit, which I'm hoping the 40s guys are happy with. Interestingly, if you buy a 40s kit and an Explorer kit, you will end up with 2 additional extra B keys, because it's in there twice. There's a UK ISO kit as well, which has a lot of compatibility in it, which is really nice. Mac kit, and then a novelties kit as well. Now the novelties kit seems to be really, really reduced this time around. There's only the Nautilus enter key, and then a series of text keys. Now I know how you're a fan of text novelties. How do you feel about these ones?
It's okay. I feel like they don't really. I mean, obviously they fit the theme. It's Jules Verne. It's it's Nautilus, Captain Nemo, etc. Like. They fit the theme. You can't knock them for that, but they're just not as exciting to me as some of the other ones. Like, I'll use Godspeed, for example, because we're going to talk about Godspeed a little bit later in our doc. But if you guys remember, Godspeed was just, like, built around text novelties, and they all pertained to the theme, but they all did something kind of different. It wasn't just, like, the name of someone. Which I think is kind of why it bothers me a little bit here. I think he could have gotten more creative and more playful with the text novelties, but this is what he wants, so
yeah.
Who am I to argue?
One of the interesting things to see will be how this base kit stacks up against the $100 base kit that we got in round 1. So if this base kit's $100 when it goes on sale, and the original base kit was $100, and there's a massive size difference between the 2 keys, how people feel about that. I don't know how I feel about it at the minute. We'll see how it goes, but that might be something to talk about when we do the group buy discussion for this particular set.
Yeah, so another fun fact is he's actually not going with Drop, formerly Mass Drop, like he did last time. He's actually moving over to Dixie Mech this time, which is pretty interesting. So Dixie Mech has been doing insanely well lately, marketing and selling GMK sets. So I think that's a pretty good move. Dixie Mech really killing it right now with sales on GMK sets in particular. So,
yeah.
I think this could easily cross 1,000 units again, just like it did last time. It is a pretty nice set, all things considered. So
yeah, I've still got the round 1, and I used it on my TR60. So yeah. Oh, there we go. That's the timer.
All right, there's a timer. So
before we carry on, how does chat feel about that? Does that feel too fast, or does that feel okay? How does chat feel about the times that we're talking about on key sets here, rather than usual 10-11 minutes plus on each one?
Yeah,
let's get some feedback. Give us some feedback.
This certainly keeps us honest, and it keeps the show moving at a more quick and consistent pace. Feels good. I like rapid fire. Too fast. Perfect. Feels good. Feels okay, man. 1 more minute. Good. Try 4 minutes. I agree. Maybe we should move it up to 4 minutes. The extra 30 seconds could give us a lot of opinion time.
Cool.
3.5 felt rushed. Okay, seems fine. Yeah, people seem kind of split on it.
Yeah, 4 minutes, maybe we'll try that for the next couple. If this works really well, what we'll do is we'll actually have a timer on screen next week, and we'll just reset it for each time we talk about key set IC. Or maybe in weeks when it's really, really busy, we'll do that. But yeah, let's go for 4 minutes. Any final thoughts on Nautilus before we move on?
No, not really. I liked it enough the first time to buy it. I did wind up selling it because, sometimes you gotta pay bills. But I would consider buying this version as well. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm really curious on the price. I don't think he actually mentions price yet, but I'd love to know how this is going to compete price-wise with the previous run. Especially right now when we're kind of in a world where like $100 to $110 GMK base kits are like not uncommon at all. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a really good discussion for the group buy thread when this comes up. But big shout out to Pona and AIO3's Equinox, because it looks great in the yellow there with the ski sound. Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, cool. I kind of show it off because it really does look fantastic. That board is so nice.
Okay, starting with your 4 minutes in 3, 2, 1, and go. What's up next?
Next up, we have the interest check for GMK Sumi, which is a set by Fake Virtual. It is inspired by Japanese ink painting art. Sumi-e, I believe is how it's pronounced. And this is effectively a black and white and red set, very similar, or I should say not unsimilar, to GMK Metaverse, which is, another black, white, and red set with Japanese sub-legends. So, how do you feel about this, Jay?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think we briefly talked about this before the show, and we said it feels a bit like a reverse metaverse. I actually think it looks nicer this way around. I think the alpha the alphas look less busy when it's a white legend on a black cap than it does when it's the other way around. I think this way around it looks a little bit more easy to read. It's a little bit easier on the eyes. And again, I love the fact that we've got some key sets. I've got dark alphas and light mods. That really, really is something that I like to see. I think the base kit looks pretty strong as well. There's a lot of coverage in there, including ISO, numpad, pretty much everything you could possibly want. 65% TKL, ANSI, you name it, it's in there. It's really
F13 strong even.
Yeah, F13 key, which we don't see too often, but we're starting to see it on more boards as well now. The Hiragana alphas as well. So if you don't want the Sumi alphas, you can move to the Hiragana alphas as well. So there's 2 options there. Spacebar kits, and then 3 different custom Pantone colors. So 1 Pantone and 1 RAL, and then 1 GMK basic color. So a bit of a mix of 3 different colors there. But yeah, I really do like the colors.
I do too.
Really nice color.
I know we were just talking about this on the previous set, where we were talking about how we liked lighter color mods versus darker color mods versus the alphas, because the vast majority of key sets do have darker mods than alphas. And it's kind of nice to reverse it. I think that's why I like it so much, because fundamentally, it's not really that much different than Metaverse. Like, it uses roughly the same colors. You get the Hiragana sub-legends. You get very similar colored accents. It's a black, white, and red set, and I think that's totally fine. You can totally do it, and I don't think this really steps on anyone's feet. But no. I do. It draws me in more than Metaverse does, just because you have those lighter colored mods. I think it's a really, really cool aesthetic that we don't get to see a lot.
Yeah, yeah, and I think this is very much a personal thing. Some people are going to like it, some people aren't.
Sure.
What I do really like about this particular base kit, though, is the fact that the numpad, when you get to it, that's Dark Legends on a light cap. So they've kind of flipped it by the time you get over to the numpad. So I think that adds a really interesting dynamic as well. Where I think this interest check really shines, though, is well, first of all, the interest check is laid out beautifully. It's laid out. It's simple. There's not massive text. It's really simple, lots of different change logs on there, all of the information that you could possibly want. But where this interest check really, really gets good is when it gets to the desk mat designs, because those are super nice. They're really, really good desk mat.
They truly are fantastic. And I wonder if they're going to... there's 4 desk mat proposed designs right here, which is obviously a lot. I really doubt they're going to run all 4. But it'd be interesting if they did, I suppose. But if they had to reduce it down to, let's say, 2, what would be your top 2 out of this 4?
The first one with the bonsai tree, the Japanese red sun, that one is just absolutely stunning. I'm in love with that desk mat and I need it. And then I would probably go for the dark desk mat with the koi fish swimming in the circle as a secondary one, just so you got a light and a dark desk mat. But I don't dislike any of them. That's not to take away from the cherry blossoms or anything else. I think these are absolutely stunning, and I'm a really huge fan of these.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the bonsai is my favorite out of the group. My second favorite is actually just going to be the Sakura, because the koi mats, while I do like, they remind me a little bit too much of the Mizu desk mats, which I'm actually using right now, which is the same. It's 2 koi that are swimming, opposite each other in a circular pattern. And there's that kind of water ripple along the edge. The Mizu mat looks very similar to that, or at least design-wise, it's very similar. So because of that, I do still like them. But Bonsai, my favorite. Sakura, definitely my second favorite out of that bunch. But looks great either way. I think the set is looking good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, time's up on this particular one. We've had the 4 minutes.
All right.
I think I absolutely agree. I think this is going to be a must-buy. Is my final thought on this one. Really, really, really like the set. So, yeah, really, really happy with that one. Okay, moving on then.
Mr. Petrov says, next, someone take the conch away from Brian. Fine. All right. Jay will head this topic then.
Cool. Yeah. So I've started the countdown timer. This is GMK Red Devils. So where we've seen sets like Striker before, this is heavily inspired by those sets, and this is taking it to a slightly different level and a slightly different colorway. So taking it from Blue Striker, which was to represent Japanese international football team, to a specific football team within Japan, and the color that those guys use and wear for their soccer games. So this is GMK Red Devils. It's inspired by the South Korean national soccer team and Striker, as I mentioned. Now they've only ever had modest success on the world stage, so they haven't been as big as the Japanese one, but South Korean team absolutely hold their own. So I'm not a football fan or soccer fan, so I apologize if I mess up on any of that, but that's the case. In terms of the actual kits, this is really interesting. So the base kit gives you pretty much TKL, and that's kind of it. There's some 65% and HHKB options, but TKL is kind of the maximum it goes to. But it's got those lovely Korean sub-legends, and I know, Brian, we've talked before. We both really like that. Korean beige is one of my favorite accent kits, so really nice to see those in a base kit as the main opportunity. Numpad kit as well. Again, accent keys in there, but pretty full-fledged numpad kit. 40s and split, and then when it gets really, really interesting is I'm going to get this wrong, but there's the Taguki kit. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. I apologize. Don't mean to upset anyone.
Taguki. It's actually a fantastic movie from I think 2004. I'm not going to ramble on about that, but if any of you haven't seen that, you should.
Yeah, which is actually in GMK minimal colors, and it's inspired by the flag of South Korea. So this has got all sorts of different options on there, and these are some really nice novelties. I really like these. I think these offer some great accent pieces for the Keycap sets, and it would work with other sets as well, like minimal too. So I think this is really interesting. So it's got a really good theme. It's themed around something. It's almost a deep pink rather than actual red when you look at the Pantone color.
He mentions that in the thread too. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we've talked about how Pantones can be difficult for GMK to match. I think that's probably a fairly easy one for them to match. In terms of the set itself, it's probably not one for me, not because of the lack of ice or anything, but just because the bright red is probably a bit too much for me. It's probably too bright for me. But I can absolutely see why people want to buy this. But that novelty kit, I would absolutely pick that up any day of the week and use it for arrow keys or something similar, because I think that looks really great.
Yeah, this novelties kit to me feels almost more like an accent kit, or maybe like a hybrid versus like a true novelties kit. I don't know, but maybe that's just me. I don't entirely understand it, but again, I do like it. Desk mat, I think the desk mat is actually pretty great as well. I'm a little skeptical on the color as well, but I do like the renders. I do agree with the fact that it could be more of a deep pink versus a red, and I don't love it, but it's nice. The theme doesn't get me because I'm not a football/soccer fan, but that's just me. So yeah. GMK Red Devils.
Yeah. I'm exactly the same. I'm not sure if the red's too much for me, and I don't really get the football thing because I don't follow that sport, or soccer as you guys call it in America. But I think it's nice to see that inspiration behind something. It's actually got meaning, sentiment, all of that kind of stuff, which is really good to see. So yeah, I'm a big fan of having that kind of information come through in the interest check. So we'll have to see how this one comes out. But yeah, looks good. Definitely a good IC.
Yep, very nice.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we finished that one with 10 seconds left, so excellent.
I can do a lot in 10 seconds, Jay.
Can you really?
I can.
You
I can move on to the next topic.
I was just going to say, do you think you can move on to the next topic in 10 seconds?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
I'll start the timer again. Off you go.
All right. This is the interest check for GMK Freeport. If you're not familiar with Freeport, it's a city which bases the company LL Bean, which is an outdoor apparel provider, distributor, whatever you want to call it. And this is based off their colorways, basically. And I really don't know what to say about this, because I really don't have any solid opinions on it. I keep thinking I like it, and then I keep thinking I dislike it, and I still don't actually know. But colors aside, let's take a look at the actual kit breakdown, which, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't matter, because it's just there as a placeholder, like he mentions in the disclaimer. So I guess in reality, there's not really a point to talk about the compatibility, because none of this matters. But we do want to point out, because we did see it before the stream, that we found it kind of odd that he went for a UK ISO approach, but the 2 and the 3 here are still the ONSI keys, and they're duplicates of the 2 and the 3 that are already part of the base kit. So we found that a little interesting, but obviously that's just a mistake. There's never any reason to add an additional ONSI.
Yeah, I'm sure it's an oversight, and he meant to be the UK ISO ones, and he's just not updated the legends or whatever for that. But as you said, he does say that the kits are going to be revised. This is more about the interest check for the colorway rather than the kits at this stage in time, and that will change as he moves forward with it. There's quite a lot of renders as well when you break it out. So it's, there's some good renders in there. I think these look really good. I think King 22 has been started to do some of these renders now, which is good to see another player in the market as well. What do you feel about the Pantone colors picked for this? How do you feel about those, Brian?
I think they're fine. One thing I thought was kind of interesting is this set uses a whopping 5 Pantone colors.
Yeah.
Which, most sets don't use that many colors, so it's kind of interesting that they decided to not only use that many colors, but have all of them be Pantone, which, like we just mentioned, is harder to match for GMK than, for instance, RAL. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not in love with the set, but how do you feel about the color itself?
I actually quite like it, and I can see why people would either be on the fence or not like it. I think this would look really good on some classic retro vintage boards. So if you've got an old Cherry, 1800 or something like that that's laying around, this could look really nice on that. If you've gone for a beige look on the board, I think this could look really nice. I do really like the modifiers and the accent colors, the greens, that black that's almost a green, and then the kind of burgundy red accents as well. I think those look really nice. Maybe I'd lighten the alphas a little bit away from the brown, but the fact that it looks really autumnal and kind of, seasonal, I kind of like it. There's something about it that just jumps out at me and says, do you know what, this is all right, actually. What I'd be really interested in is to how well they can match those Pantone colors, because we know we've seen issues with that in the past. And I would be tempted to lighten that beige color for the alphas as well. What I do really, really want to understand, though, is why there is some extra keys that are going to be included in this, which GMK keys that just say Quaid eats jeans. I'm not quite sure why that's there or what that refers to, but sure, I kind of like it.
I'm assuming it's probably, you know, some kind of inside joke between designers. P Wade, if you're not familiar with him, P Wade is one of the designers of Taro, a very popular colorway that ran a while back and is going to have another run very soon, next month, I believe. So maybe it probably has some kind of inside joke with that, I imagine.
Yeah, potentially. Either way, I'm really interested to see what this comes out like. I think it's got potential for me, and I kind of like it, although I couldn't put my finger on why.
Yeah, totally fair. I feel like I completely agree. Actually, this set kind of has this like weird, unique character where it almost feels classic for how colorful it is.
That's time, Brian.
All right. Well, there we go. That's my closing thought. There's something kind of oddly alluring about this key set, particularly like that really dark, kind of almost black green. I like that a lot.
Can't put my finger on why I like it, but I do. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, let's move on to something that isn't an interest check. This is a group. You got the timer running, sure?
Just starting it right now. There we go.
Right. So this is the group buy for GMK Finer Things by ABEC. It runs till the end of this month, and this is that. I don't. What would you call this color? It's kind of like a Tiffany, right? It's kind of like a teal Tiffany kind of thing.
Tiffany blue. Yeah, it's on that kind of theme. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard for my eyes because, as most of you know, I'm colorblind. But regardless, I think the set looks pretty darn interesting. It's one of the more polarizing sets, and I do worry about the contrast a little bit. But in the renders, it does seem pretty darn nice. And I love the light shades. I love the novelties in this one too. I think you did a really good job on those. Base kit compatibility, pretty good. You have your numpad in there. You have basic ISO support. You have basic Sengon, HHKB, all that good stuff. You have most of what you need in a GMK base kit there. And
yeah, it's pretty solid.
Yeah, base kit $135. That's based on the US proxy, which is Canon keys. So I think the price is definitely not high. I'd say it's in line with how many keys you get in this base kit. So can't really complain about that. How do you feel about the colorway, Jay?
I kind of like it. It's probably a little bit too bright for me. I'm not sure whether I'm going to pick this up or not yet. I haven't fully decided on that. But I kind of like it. I think it looks good. I've always been a sucker for teals as an accent kind of colorway. So to have like a whole set of it's kind of interesting, kind of unique. I agree on the novelties. I think those look absolutely exceptional. The key, the glasses, the heart, the camera, and the little Vespa especially. Those are absolutely amazing little doodles. I really like those. I think those are fantastic, and even if I don't pick anything else up, I may just pick up the novelties kit because I think it looks great. The desk mat's also really interesting. The fact that it's wrapped up like a gift and everything else is also really interesting and cool. Although I'm not quite sure it's for me. But what I do think is definitely for me, irrespective of whether I buy anything else, is this lovely Rama cap with the diamond on it and the kind of like infill done. So it's like an E-white color with some nice enamel infill. I think that looks absolutely stunning. I think that's really going to fit the theme. It'll set off any of the boards that you want to use this on perfectly. Yeah, fully up for that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think pretty much any Rama cap with infill pretty much gets me every time. I never actually buy them because I never think the value for me is there, but I do absolutely love looking at them. And I'm just pointing out because Upas did kind of correct me in chat. The base kit does have some 40s and ortho compatibility in it as well. So when you think about that, it's actually a pretty good deal for the base kit price, and that's why you also don't see a 40s kit among this list. So very nice. That's open right now.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it on that Iron 165, and it looks absolutely stunning on there.
Everything looks good on the Iron 165. Everything.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I've just seeing it there, and it does look really good. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'm more tempted with it now. I've seen it on there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, maybe I have to get picking this up. Interesting as well. They've got some really good artisan collaborations on this one as well. So with Latralium, CYSM, and Archie as well. The Latralium caps look absolutely stunning. They were on Instagram a couple of days ago. I'm really excited to try and get hold of some of them as well. I'm not sure how that's been run. I assume there's going to be like a raffle for those for people who buy the set. So yeah. Definitely interested in that. A1A says this would look great on a white JO2 limited edition. I absolutely agree, it would. Yeah, for those lucky people who won those a couple of days ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at the contrast on the render with the Satisfaction. That makes the set really, really change almost.
Yeah. This your final thoughts now, Brian? Because that's the 4 minutes.
I think it looks pretty nice. I worry a little bit about the contrast, but we have to wait and see until they get the color samples. Maybe it can be pretty accurately portrayed. Other than that, I think the set does look pretty nice. I like the base kit for $135. You get some 40s and ortho compatibility in there. You do get basic ISO and numpad as well. So pretty rich base kit for the price, all things considered. Novelties, home run. I think they're fantastic. And desk mat, also good.
Yeah. We didn't get onto the desk map. We
talked about it. We'll move on though. We covered it. We got it.
Yeah, we covered it. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah,
all right, I like it. All right. Next up, we have another set in Group Buy right now. This is Cat Lucky Jade. This is a set that has been an interest check for quite a while. I've been waiting on this for I mean, it's probably been at least a year. Anyways, glad to see this finally run because, like I mentioned before, I absolutely love Cat, and I do love this colorway. A lot of people are really taking Cat sets very seriously with like Asian culture themes. We've seen several Japanese culture themes on Cat sets. We saw the one that we checked out earlier. The Ice Dragon, very much a Chinese dragon kind of theme, and here they're going for the kind of Chinese jade kind of aesthetic going on as well, which I think is delightful. I every Cat set I see, I seem to like, and I can't really tell if it's because I'm actually liking the colors or just because I want to use more Cat and I want more of it to hit the market.
maybe it's both. I've got to agree though. I mean, I'm a big sucker for green sets, like good green sets. And the more I look at this, the more I kind of get really interested in it. It's a really nice looking set, and I'm actually a huge fan of the green alphas rather than the white alphas on this one. So in terms of the kit breakdown, there's kind of multiple different kits that you can get on here. So there's kind of white alphas, there's green alphas, depending on what you want to do, and then there's the ruby alphas as well, which have got different sub-legends on them too. So I'm really, really interested in this set. I think this is definitely going to be a must-buy for me because of the colours of the different shades of green that are in there, make it really worthwhile. And I think it looks absolutely fantastic. It's the first good green set we've had in a little while. We've had some good ones in the past, but this one's really jumping out at me.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm gonna try to. There's so many renders and kits in this thread, so I apologize for all the scrolling, guys. But I do want to find a render with the here we go, with the Wooby alphas, because normally I really hate when there are so many legends on a single cap and it looks that busy, but for some reason these particular shades of green and the alpha color, I really do think that works out really well here, and the Wooby alphas honestly look pretty good and not that busy to me.
Yeah, I think you're right. Sometimes colours can help things look less busy, even if they are still quite busy keycaps. The Ruby alphas probably wouldn't be for me, but the green ones, absolutely. Yeah, the standard green alphas, I think, would be all over. That colour is just sublime, that green there. And the way it works with both the white and the dark green caps is just great. This is almost on GMK Royal Alpha kind of levels of making greens work together in my head. So, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me, with the lighter alpha, I'm going to get shit for color blindness, but I don't really care. It kind of reminds me of Ursa with the lighter alphas.
Yeah, and I think that's your color blindness.
I know it's my color blindness, but for me, that pays off because I really liked Ursa, and I really like this as well. So, sure. I think today we're 2 for 2 on cat sets. I think both of them are must-buys for each of us, right? This is that time where we really need that splash screen to just show that it's a must-buy from both of us.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing of this as well is the novelties kit has some absolutely stunning novelties in there, both for ANSI and ISO. There's some super lovely keycaps in there, from Chinese dragons to peacocks and all sorts of other things as well. I'm a big fan of that novelties set as well. So yeah, definitely going to be joining this. And of course, there's always all the language supports as well: the North, the French, the ISO, you name it, it's there. Cold Rack even. So yeah, really good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So once again, because it's cat, you can have a bazillion kits, and it doesn't really matter because they'll all get made anyways, and everybody's gonna get what they want. So big payoff there for cat. When are we gonna start seeing these hit the market though? Because we have all these cat sets launching, and it's great because I love seeing it. The colorways are great, and I want to see more cat. But we still only have one cat set actually in the wild, and it's the same one that's been in the wild for like a year and a half now.
Yeah, soon. That's all we can hope on that. There's been lots of group buys.
Yeah. If there's anyone from Key Creative watching, which I am assuming there isn't, but if there are, let us know what's going on, man. Like, can we actually churn out some more cat sets? Or is this going to be another, like, year and a half wait?
Yeah, I don't think we'll be waiting that long, but maybe there is a bit of a bottleneck, and we've seen a lot of cat sets run recently. I think there's been
a lot of them.
Four this year already, including the ones that are just going live now. So,
if not more. I think there was like 3 last month. I think already.
Was it Lich? Yeah. There's the 2 we talked about today. That's 2. There's Lich. What else was the last month?
Are you talking about just interest checks?
No, group buys for cat.
Oh, group buy. Well, we could. I'm not gonna. I don't know. I'm not gonna bring up the doc on stream. Our time already ran out, anyways. So we're officially rambling. Closing thoughts, though. It's a must buy for me. It seems like it's a must buy for Jay. I think the colors are just too good. Cat profile, I love it just so much. This desk mat also pretty solid, by the way.
Yeah, the desk mats are really solid. We didn't get onto those, but yeah, really solid. Yeah.
And this is live until March 1st, so you have the rest of the month to get in on it. As will Jay and myself. All right.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on.
Oh, just before we do, A1A was saying Drifter, Oasis, Specimen, and Lucky Jade right now. Yeah, so that is a lot of cat that's running at the minute. So yeah.
Eternal as well.
Eternal. Yeah. So 5 running. Yeah. Right
now we have Lucky Jade too. That's crazy. But yeah, let's move on to the next topic in our list. If you want to start that timer. We have the group buy.
Timer is on its way.
All right. So from Kema, we have a group buy from GMK Future Funk. It's live currently. TKC is the NA proxy there, and this is a set we've seen a group buy for a little while now. It's not really my kind of set because it has such colorful modifiers. I'm still not a big fan of that, but I don't know. I know you like Metropolis, so are you a fan of this as well?
So I kind of like the whole cyberpunk style stuff, apart from Laser. Laser's the only set of that I don't like, and that was the original. It was sold as a whole vaporwave cyberpunk style-y kind of thing. But no, I really like this. I like the fact that it uses purple as a base color. I like the fact that it's got all of the different bright accent colors. I like that CMYK printing press kit that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. I've forgotten the actual name of it. So this is kind of right up my street for a flashy set. I like all the different colors used, with one exception, which I'll come on to in a second. Multiple different kits here. So the base kit gives you pretty much everything from ISO support to numpad, all in the base kit. Multiple options for all of your different keys, accent keys, and otherwise. Sangan, 75%, you name it. It's in there. It's a pretty solid base kit. There's also a light alpha kit, which I think looks really good with this. The light alpha kit actually works quite well, although I do prefer the purple one. But it's definitely something that I want to pick up, both the base and the white alpha kit. And then you've got some other icon mods, 40s and ortho spacebar kits as well. One of the things that this interest check does too, which is really interesting and we don't often see, is it's actually got the base kit render under different lighting and different backgrounds in one image. So it's got kind of a shot of the base kit on a light background, a dark background, and then in the middle it's got it in shadow as well, so you can kind of get a feel for how it's going to look on your desk in different lighting conditions, and depending on how you've got that mounted. So that's really good to see too. Desk mats, can take or leave them. Not massively huge fan of those, but the rest of it, I think it looks really good. Yeah, definitely up my street on this one. The one exception I was talking about earlier on in terms of the colors that I don't like in there, everything is really nice, bright colors, it's vivid colors, it all works really well. And then you've got the one enter key on the right hand side of the numpad, which is in kind of a pastel color. Now I know that there's some of the legends that are in pastel colors, such as backspace and tab and things like that in the HHKB layout, but I don't like that one key on its own in that color. I would have done it the hot pink, the same as the escape.
Yeah. A couple of things I find interesting on this is the actual color of the accent kits, or the accent keys themselves. So normally when you have accent keys in a base kit, for example, or even in an additional kit, all the accents are generally like the same color. Here it's the exact opposite. Every accent is a different color, which I found kind of interesting. And for me, it's a little off-putting because I'm not a big fan of flashy sets that have a ridiculous amount of colors. I get a lot of people love that. Look at Laser, still one of the most successful colorways of all time in our community. So obviously people are totally into that. I get it. Metropolis also did super well. It's just not for me, unfortunately. Although I do appreciate, I appreciate the base color, the base purple, as well as like the legend color for the alphas. But the rest of it just a little bit too colorful for me. One thing I do appreciate a lot though is the addition of the second tab key in the base kit. We see this sometimes, but it's still kind of rare. But what that does, it allows you to buy, let's say, one of the other alphas kits, like you have the white alphas here, or the Hiragana Mono Legends. You can buy either of these, and because of that secondary tab key, you'll have enough keys to outfit 2 boards of different layouts. You'll have to use different bottom rows, which is kind of the unfortunate part. But as long as you can live with different bottom rows, you can outfit 2 boards for the price of like 1.5 GMK sets. So that's good value depending on how you look at it, and I do like that a lot. I also like that they have the Numro in here too, because sometimes a lot of supplementary alpha kits don't have the additional keys for the Numro, so you'd have to use so like let's say if they include no Numro secondary but they have 2 tab keys, you'll have to use the secondary layout on a 40% or something that doesn't have a Numro. Here you don't have to worry about that because you do get the Numro, and you even get a numpad and some F keys if you do plan on buying the light alphas. So
and accent arrow keys as well. So
you can really outfit 2 boards pretty easily here if you get one of the supplemental alpha kits. So I do like seeing that because it means you can get almost 2 GMK sets for less than the price of 2 GMK sets.
Yeah. Okay, we are out of time. So my final thoughts on this one is I think this is great. I'm glad that we're seeing it. Definitely want to pick up the light alphas because I think it does work really well with the light alphas and the purple mods, as well as the full purple set. So really excited for this one, and it's definitely going to be on my buy list.
Nice, very nice. All right, reset that timer. Let's move on to another cat set. This one's actually in group buy as well. So this is Cat Oasis by Jay Saints. And this is another one that's been in IC for quite a while. A lot of people have been waiting on this one. And once again, this is a must-buy for me because, like we've talked about twice on this show already. I'm scrolling down for a good picture. I'm sorry, guys. All cat threads have about 800 bazillion pictures to go through. So
there's so many kits.
He even goes as far as doing all the artisans in here as well. So many artisan pictures. Regardless, one of the reasons I like this set so much, and here I'll use this render, this works. Once again, lighter alpha color mod color than the alpha color. I love seeing that. I think the colors are spot on here. They fit the Oasis theme so well. I'm buying 3 cat sets this month, I think, Jay, is what's happening.
Fair enough. I mean, that's true if you use the blue tealy modifiers rather than because there are the brown modifiers as well. So there is 2 modifier sets depending on whether you want that kind of dark look or light look to the board. I prefer the other one on this particular set. But
do you? You like the
I do prefer
more. Okay.
Yeah, I do prefer those. Yeah, I think they look just nice. It kind of gives it kind of beige kind of look feel. And rather selfishly, there is a lovely render with the JO2 right at the very top that it looks fantastic on. So.
Well, I'm not going to show that because that's too selfish. So I'm kidding. I'll show it. We're very split on this. Then I much prefer the normal modifiers to the Liha ones. I just love that super light blue. I don't know, something about it really hits home for me.
That's fair.
But yeah, I mean, in true cat fashion, we have about a bazillion kits broken down here. One thing that we have been seeing lately with cat that I appreciate a lot is the addition of blank kits, because it's really easy to add those, and oftentimes they're cheaper. So here you can outfit boards pretty darn easily. Like if you get one of the mods and one of the alphas, it's going to run you about $85 or so, and that's going to outfit quite a few boards. You can outfit a lot of 40% boards or boards in that size range for about $55. So really inexpensive if you're looking to outfit some sub 60% boards. So love seeing all this compatibility. Love seeing the blank kits as well. They have blank alphas as well as blank modifiers. And I do think at least the blank alphas are a little bit cheaper. So pretty nice. You can outfit a lot of boards here for well under $100. Love seeing that. Good value.
Yeah,
I gotta buy it. I gotta buy it.
Yeah, absolutely the same. I mean, one of the really interesting thing about this is there is, even for Cat, there's a lot of kits. There's 25 kits that are available for this. 25 kits plus the Rama Key, the Desma, and the Nano Slider as well. So there's a lot of opportunities.
It's because they have 3 alphas kits, so obviously you can get anything blank or not blank. Then there's 2 color variations of both alphas and modifiers. Or sorry, modifiers. Alphas has different text changes, so you can get the normal Latin alphas as well as the Arabic ones, which I think look spectacular. And then obviously because of the 2 colorways in this one set, you have to separate everything. So you have 2 novelties kits, you have 2 calculator kits, or numpad kits, I should say, 2 spacebar kits. Then you have some other things as well. So lots and lots of kits. If you want to have something covered, it's gonna be covered. So no worries there. Kono's going to be your NA proxy, mykeyboard.eu for the EU, and then of course you have lots of other proxies as well. One thing I did think that was kind of interesting about this that we haven't seen in a while is this actually has a Keywork Nano slider, kind of thing. So I think the last time we saw that, I'm trying to find a better picture of it.
Bento,
sorry guys, was GMK Bento, which happened quite a while ago. Now, and I believe the Keywork Nano group buy that was part of that actually had issues, and it didn't get delivered until quite a bit after the set did. So interesting to see them take it again. So hopefully they'll work out a little bit better this time. But I do actually like the keyboard. Oh, here we go. Finally got to it. The Keywork Nano slider. I think they do look pretty awesome, to be totally honest. So that could be an option for you. I believe these are about $120 if you want to get one of those alongside.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Okay, we're out of time on this one. Final thoughts, Brian?
It's a must-buy for me. I think the colors are fantastic. The kits are fantastic. They have lots of different collaborations going on. I like all the additional stuff. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. I'm gonna be getting it.
Yeah, I absolutely the same. Desk mats as well, also spot on. That's the only thing I wanted to add. We didn't talk about those, but do go check those out. And there's Brian displaying it on the JO2. So thank you very much for that, Brian. Appreciate that.
There you go.
It's great. It looks great on the.
It does look great on the JO2. I gotta admit, even though it's not my preferred mod color.
Yeah, it's do you know what it is? It's the kind of sand colored alphas with that brass mid layer on the grey. It just
matches
works
so well.
Yeah, when he showed me that render, it was like, yeah, dude, that really works. That actually sold me on buying the set. I was tentative before, but when he showed me that picture,
is there a render on that color JO2 with the blue mods?
No, I don't have one with the blue mods. Only with the brown mods. I'll reach out to Jason, and if he's got one, I'll send it to you, Brian.
All right, cool. Anyways, love the set. Definitely buying it. All right,
cool.
Let's move on to something something that a lot of people are excited for. This is the group buy for GMK Modern Dolch Light by Garrett over at Dixie Mech, and this set is really interesting for a lot of reasons. Let's start out with the actual kit breakdown, though. I feel like
can we start with something else? Can we start with the 1,000 base kits already?
I was gonna get there, but all right, we could start with that. So here's why this set was really interesting on day one. So on day one, and day one only, you got the GMK Modern Dolch Light base kit for $95 US on Dixie Mech. So that makes
$95.
That effectively makes it the cheapest GMK base set of all time. I say effectively because you could make arguments for GMK 3 run, but that set was kind of odd in a lot of other ways as well, and that's years and years and years ago. But let's just say by today's standards, this is the cheapest GMK base set of all time, and that excited a lot of people. And it excited people so much that that $5 savings translated into almost 1,000 base sets sold on day one, which, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, is the best day one a GMK set has ever had for base kits. Almost 1,000 base kits in one day, the first 24 hours. That's absolutely wild to me. But Dixie Mac's
just
killing
makes
it.
believe.
He's killing it.
I was expecting it to do well. I was expecting it to do really well for two reasons. Let's not beat around the bush here. We all know that this is reminiscent of GMK Muted, and people have been looking for something close to that colorway for a long time. And this, whilst it's different, it's very close to that. So it does fit into people that want to touch on that niche. But I was expecting 500 sets, maybe 1,500 over the group buy, but I think this could be the highest ever selling GMK base set of all time. I absolutely think that this could and probably will beat Olivia ++ numbers, which is the biggest we've had so far. And I was talking to Jan about this, Jan Lad, just on the day that this went live, and we didn't have any clue of numbers at that point. They said it's going to do well, and just the sheer volume of sets sold is huge, is absolutely huge. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't knock it.
You can't. I mean,
genuinely can't.
I mean, it's a light grayscale themed set, and it's really hard to hate on it because it's just so neutral and so clean, and the accents go so well with this. And like you were mentioning, it's obviously not a copy or a clone of GMK Muted. It's not. But like you mentioned, it does fit that same hole in the market. And if people are maybe a little newer to the hobby and don't know what GMK Muted is or the situation behind GMK Muted, I'll give you a quick rundown background story here. GMK Muted is, without a doubt, a legendary set. Very popular in the community. It was run by a user named JChan of Keycap.com. He used to be a very prominent member in the community, then he kind of fell off the face of the earth because of some real-life issues. Anyways, he ran the set. This was many, many, many years ago. And, it did fairly well for the time, all things considered. But he fell off the face of the earth before he could run it again, and he explicitly said that nobody else could run it again before he left, because he was planning on running it again, and then he never came back to the community. That left a lot of people really sad, because so many people were paying hundreds of dollars on the aftermarket for a set of GMK Muted, and nobody was able to really get it, and like even now it sells for pretty decent amounts of money. But this is an alternative to that, because it fills a very similar kind of colorway. And that's going to make a lot of people happy. And the price, day one, $95, you can't argue with that. And I saw someone in the chat say the base kit doesn't have very much compatibility. Yes, that is true. You do have to reduce compatibility on the base kit to be able to achieve numbers like $95 base kits. That's just the trade-off. If you wanted a full base kit on this, it was going to cost a lot more. So regardless, I think this is set up pretty well. Base kit, maybe not going to work for everyone, but apparently it's going to work for at least about 1,000 people.
Which is huge. It's just huge. And do you know what? Right, and we've gone over time on this one, but there is a couple of things I want to say. One of the things we've talked about quite recently, and I've mentioned a lot for EU users, is the fact that the actual cost of a GMK base kit has gone up for us quite significantly, because people are stripping out things like ISO and everything else. So by the time we've bought what is a base kit that was priced at $135 a year ago, it's now $125, $110. But then we've got a $50 kit to buy to get the keys that we need. And my average cost of a GMK set has gone from about £145 all in, including shipping and taxes, to about £190 all in shipping and taxes. But this books that trend. For $130, I can actually have all that full UK ISO goodness and some additional shift keys and other bits and pieces as well, for buying the editions kit for $130, which makes it better. It's still missing a numpad, but hey, as long as I don't need a numpad, that absolutely puts me back on track for this. So the change that Dixie and Jan have done here is they've not just changed the way that base kits can be perceived, because they've been trying that for a while, but they've also changed the way that pricing can be perceived for all of these extra kits as well. So we're back on the trend of where I am spending what I was spending a year ago for pretty much the same compatibility, but I'm just getting two kits now. So it's actually at the point where it's not costing me any more than it used to, but it's bringing back that really low cost for the people that can just use an ANSI, TKL, or less layout. So big shout out to both Janglad and Dixie for hitting that price point. I do only have one complaint about this set, and I still don't think that this is modern Dolch light.
Oh, I was just about to touch on that. I was gonna say, I know we went overtime. We went overtime, but I feel like this set warrants a little bit more time just because of how popular it is and a lot of the things that are going on around it. So, I mean, as much as I love the set, and I do love the set, absolutely must buy for me, especially if you don't have Muted and you've been looking for Muted. This is close enough that I feel like it should fit that that exact kind of vibe. But
Yeah.
the name still really bothers me, and he does have a clause in here, so I can't really argue against it about why he named it that and how it's kind of derived from. And that's fine. There is some information there, but I still think they could have named this something different.
Upas has just hit the nail on the head. It's modern 9009, not modern.
Yeah.
Modern Dolch Light. I absolutely agree with Pass. I completely 100% agree with that. This is modern 9009. Yeah, I absolutely agree. But irrespective of the name, I'm not gonna not buy something because of the name. Irrespective of everything like that.
Sure.
Dixie and Janglad have hit what could be the perfect numbers in terms of their kits, the pricings, the breakdowns. Yes, still don't get a numpad, but most people are using numpads less and less frequently. So if I did want to buy the numpad, it's still going to be more expensive than it was a year ago. But in terms of just what I use for me now, it's starting to come back down to that.
Yeah, yes. And I mean, let's say, if you do have to buy the numpad, it's still only $135 with the base kit together with the numpad. That's not that bad, and you might not need the edition kit unless you're in the EU, for example. So I don't know. The kit breakdown I think is totally fine here. I think it makes a lot of sense, and they're priced well enough.
Yeah, Mr. Petrov says I can't wait for vintage modern Dolch light dark. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fair.
Yep. Dustmat's not too bad. Rama Cap's pretty good as well. It's kind of reminiscent of the original modern Dolch one in terms of style. But yeah, name bothers me. Everything else, I got nothing bad to say. I bought the set already anyways, so I mean, clearly I like it enough. So
yeah, I grabbed it day one as well. As soon as it came up, it was like click. Yeah, I was talking about it, and it just. Yeah, I went for it in the end, and I knew I was going to join it. I was tentatively going to wait until the end of the month to join it, but then that first day price,
it's hard to argue with that.
It drags you in, man. It drags you in. Everyone loves to save $5. That's a free coffee for me. So
yeah. It's weird because it seems like something so insignificant to most of us too. $5, like we're the kind of people that buy $400 keyboards, $600 keyboards, as well as tons of GMK sets. Like $5 in reality is nothing to hobbyists, generally speaking. So it's weird to think that $5, because if this launched at $100, I bet it would have only sold half at most of the sets that it sold.
Maybe.
I think day one would have been like maybe a $450 base kit day one.
Right.
If it launched at 100.
We've probably gone double time on this one, but I'm just going to pose a hypothetical question to both you in chat. So what we're saying, Brian, and what we've just articulated there is at $100, but reduced on day one to $95. So that $5 saving is potentially one of the things that's driven it to 1,000 base units. If it had been priced at $105 and on day one it had been dropped down to $99.99, taking the same $5 off, would it have done as well?
No. I think... Okay, here's the way I view it. And I'm not going to say this is logical or smart, because in reality it's not. But I think it's just breaking into that double-digit price for the US dollar. Seeing something at $95... just seems so much more attractive than seeing something at 100 or 105 or 110 or 120. It's not necessarily that it's a big delta of money spent. It's just that you finally gone below it. It's kind of like the same. I forgot what the idea is called, but you know how when you see something that's $99.99 versus $100, your brain kind of thinks, that's cheaper than $100. Even though it's not. Come on, it's still $100 plus tax probably. But just when your brain processes that, it gives you an idea of value, and I feel like that happened a lot here. So
yeah, I can't disagree. Yeah. Anyway, we've talked at length. Let's move on. Let me restart the timer. Will you start to talk about the next one?
Sure. So this is by Koei Noe, or I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. Is it Cohen?
Yeah. Well, he goes by Cohen and other things. Yeah,
okay.
I'm going to add 10 seconds onto the end for us to talk about this because we've argued over his name. So,
all right, you're being a little too critical, Jay. I need a little room to breathe as well. Jeez. All right, so this is the group buy for GMK Perestroika. We talked about this when it was in IC a while back. Now it's coming to you in group buy, and this has a very interesting kind of theme and base kit. So I remember it wasn't that long ago we saw GMK Yugo run, which was a very while it did support Anzi in the base kit, technically, obviously a lot of the legends were incorrect, and a lot of people were put off by that, even though it did technically support Anzi. I feel like this is kind of a similar vein. It does support Anzi completely, but obviously all of your legends are going to be, well, not all of them, but a lot of them are going to be incorrect if you are an Anzi user. And that does upset a lot of people, just like it did with Yugo. For me, no problems at all. I bought GMK Yugo, and I like this as well. I might even be buying it. So I love the color. I love that deep, rich kind of red. I think that is fantastic. You know, it's very clean. It's very simple. There's not a whole lot going on, but I like that.
I am in love with this set. I cannot give this set enough airtime, discussion. I even talked about it on my build stream last week because I absolutely love Perestroika. The fact that it uses Cyrillics as the base is just, you know, as you said, it's very much like Yugo. It's using a completely different language and a completely different layout, but Cyrillics just look great to me. There's something about them that just jumps off the page and says, you know, I really like these. As you said, I think one of the things that let you go down was the fact that they used the ISO key as the main layout. This one doesn't. It uses the anti key as the main layout, but clearly shows ISO support as well. So I don't know if that hurt Yugo or didn't. I couldn't comment either way, but I think that this is probably a stronger base kit overall anyway, and that may help or may not help. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. There is a usual kit as well, so you can take it back to using correct EU and UK and
quote
US
unquote correct
English. Yeah, I'm trying to. You can take it back to actual English, whether you use US English or UK English. There is a kit that will do that as well as some other kits that give all sorts of different bits and pieces. The colours as well, both RAL colours, so easy for GMK to match. The wine red is absolutely stunning. The whites and off-white's actually a creamy colour. I think it looks great. Max Surfy's done an amazing job with these renders.
The renders are spectacular.
They're just so good. Yeah, I was talking to Cohen, who's behind this. He sent me some other renders the other day that I haven't seen shared anywhere else yet, and they were just absolutely stunning. You know, really, really big fan of this set. $129 base price, €125.
That's not bad.
Pretty good for the base kit.
That's pretty good. Yeah, it's par for the course at the very least. I mean, you get the numpad in there. You do have your basic ISO. Well, you don't have UK ISO support in the base kit, but you have other supported ISO in the base.
But it doesn't need it. It has correct
yeah.
Russian ISO support in there and correct Russian anti support in there. So or Cyrillic support. Let's call it Cyrillic, not Russian. But you know, it has both the corrects there. If you want the actual correct legends for your area, where you can just pick up the usual kit. It's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And just like Yugo, this would be a set where if I bought it, I would only buy the base kit because
I wouldn't see a need to buy the correct legend. I'd be buying this for the Cyrillics.
I'm fortunate enough to not need correct legends for every single key. Some people obviously do, but I'm fortunate enough to where I do not need that. So that's why Yugo was a home run to me, and that's why I like this one as well. So I'd love to see how this one's actually selling. Whether this is like actually a popular set right now or not. But I think the colors are fantastic.
Yeah, I haven't seen any numbers of this, so I don't know. But we are out of time to talk about it. My view is that this is why it's a must buy. I've already picked this one up. It's absolutely 100% a must buy.
It's a definite buy.
Yeah, there's no question about it. It's like, if I didn't join this, I would feel bad for myself for not joining this. I just like the colorway so much. I think anything that's a space gray kind of color to a black color board, this is just going to look fire on it. It's going to look amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Cyrillic mono legends really are a thing of beauty too, and I didn't realize it until I saw GMK Yuri in person. And it was on like a Mech 27 or something, and he had the Cyrillic Mono Legend kit, and I just thought to myself, man, that is gorgeous. That looks so much better than the Latin legends that I always use.
Yeah, I mean, Cyrillic legends just look great. There's no other way of saying it. They just look good. And the fact that this is paired with the icon mods as well is really nice. In fact, this is one of the few times that I like the centered icon mods, the new style that Janglad and Dixie have proposed. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
All right, so we need to go over time there. So let's just move on to our next one. We're making okay time. We're not that far away from finishing our news doc.
Yeah, the time is definitely helping. So anyway, running.
Yeah, that group I is still open right now though, guys. So if you weren't,
yes, go join Perestroika. Go join it.
Go join it. Project Keyboard is your NA proxy. I'm looking for the rest of them. Sorry, guys. This timer thing is making me.
My keyboard, Island KB, and Project Keyboard. There we go.
Yeah, I just like to display it on screen for a second, and I forgot to do that earlier. All right, so let's move on. We're moving on to the group buy for GMK Zhuyin. I'm sure that's probably not even how you pronounce that, because I'm just, I'm just a filthy one-language person. This is by Hoodbro Thrillson, and this is effectively kind of like a Chinese sub-legend supplemental alpha kit. Let me try to get the exact terminology he uses, because it's down here somewhere. All right, so it's the official transliteration system of Taiwan. There you go.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And I think the sub-legends look fantastic. So again, this is an add-on kit, so it's not a full set. This is what you get. But interestingly enough, which I like quite a bit, is this set... it gives you extra space bars and an extra tab key. And why that's cool is because, like we mentioned before, that extra tab key adds a lot of flexibility for being able to use one GMK set on 2 boards effectively. So that's really cool. Love seeing that. The space bar is kind of new and interesting, but what makes that cool is it serves as being an add-on kit for any other GMK set now. So instead of it necessarily having to be a drop-in kit for, I don't know, GMK Minimal or GMK White on Black that are, the normal stock colors CR and WS1, here you can actually drop this in on any other one and still have alpha-colored spacebar with your supplemental alphas kit. So I love seeing that. The downside here is this is a $70 supplemental alpha kit, whereas a lot of the previous ones we've been seeing are closer to $45 or $50. Mm-hmm. So it is kind of a bummer, but in the same vein, the plus side is 25% of all the proceeds from this are going to be donated to Habitat for Humanity, so there is a charity element to this, so that's kind of nice.
Great cause as well.
Yeah, really great cause. And I think it looks fantastic. I really do.
Yeah, I think this looks great. I actually really am a big fan of these sub-legends. I'm often not a fan of the weeb sub-legends, as we often call them, the hiragana and that kind of thing. I kind of like these ones, though. They're different. It's something we've not seen before. I don't know Taiwanese, so I couldn't speak it, but I think these look kind of nice and interesting. My big lament for this particular set is there isn't 3 1U keys to help it fit with an ISO set, even if you didn't give me the extra ISO enter key, like it's got the extra return and enter keys for white and black and white. It means that I'm going to have to reuse the standard ISO keys for it, which is kind of a bummer. But I still think I'm probably going to pick this setup just for the black and white set. I think it looks really nice. It looks crisp. It looks clean. It's different. It's definitely something I want to add to the collection.
The one problem I have with the black on white set, and I understand why they did this. I think it's actually probably unavoidable. I think it's the only way you can do it. But the tab and the return obviously are just the text. So that works. Yeah. That works for GMK Minimal, which is all text mods. But if you try to drop that into another set, you might have some modifier conflictions on whether they are icon or text or dual. So
yeah, I think it was right to match it to Minimal. I get it that it was designed.
You have no choice, really. Like
it was the right thing to do. But yeah.
Yeah. Whereas the white on black one is meant to more match the GMK white on black that Drop was stocking for quite a while because it has the combo mods.
It should go with the originated one as well, right?
Yeah. Most people don't really talk about that because like very few people have that and even use it to this day. But yes, it does technically work with that, which is effectively the same set, just way more expensive.
Yeah, it was a more expensive base kit, yeah.
True.
There's also another variation, which is the Candy Keys version, which is the ISO-only German DE language version as well of white on black, which this would work for too. So, yeah.
Stop the alarm, Jay.
Oh, yeah. I can't hear it with my headphones.
It's loud on stream. Next episode, we're going to figure out a way to streamline this a lot better. This has been a very rough experiment.
Yeah, I'm going to have it on stream. I'm going to get an app that does a timer and puts it on stream. Yeah, I can't hear it with my headphones on because these are sound cancelling. So yeah.
And I don't want everyone to have to hear the alarm on stream after every single topic. So we gotta figure out a new way to do that. So I apologize in advance, guys.
We'll have something for next week.
This was a very rough experiment that you were all part of, and it's kind of working out, but it's also kind of not in a way. But regardless, this is a group buy that is open right now. Novelkey is going to be your NA proxy, MyKeyboard.eu proxy, and the rest of them are labeled there as well. So $70 there. And someone actually, I do want to touch on this because someone in chat, let me try to find that. He depleted Vespine. He says it's the added cost of the custom molds, isn't it? So that could contribute to the higher price. But we actually don't know if GMK had these molds before, because GMK has an insane catalog of legends and sub-legends available that a lot of people don't know about. And this is a conversation that Jay and I actually had with Andy of GMK when we were in Seattle. Is actually putting out a public catalog of everything that GMK can possibly offer to a designer. That way they can kind of pick and choose, and they know what's actually available from GMK. So these could be new. I don't actually know, but it's possible that GMK already had these molds. Just because GMK does have a
absolutely
backlog.
Yeah.
All right.
It's absolutely right. Yeah. Cool.
Very
okay, should we jump on to our last keycap topic then?
Our last keycap topic, yes. So this is the Godspeed colorway, and this is kind of an interesting dual launch over on Drop right now. So they are launching both a GMK version of Godspeed as well as a relaunch of SA Godspeed, which ran originally, I think, in 2006. It was either 2016 or 2017. But
yeah, it's quite a while ago.
Godspeed, from Mito is an older colorway by today's standards, I guess. It's a few years old by this point. But it's actually one of my favorite colorways, I gotta be honest. In SA, I thought the colors just translated so well. And, I know Mito is kind of a controversial person. A lot of people dislike Mito. A lot of people find him too aggressive. I can totally see that. I think Mito is very, very passionate about what he does. And I think that kind of ties into a lot of the things that he says. And, for better or worse, sometimes that comes out, well, better or worse. But one thing I do think that he does really well is he sells a theme really well. And I remember this when he first launched Godspeed, is he would always talk to people in conversations as if he was in that theme of the Godspeed colorway. And he would make posts like that as well. Like, he would talk about, the lineage, and he would talk like an astronaut.
I remember that,
It was a really kind of cool experience that, nobody else really does. People just put out colorways, they're like, here, either buy this or don't. But Mito does such a good job of getting behind that and really kind of promoting and pressing that. And that originally led me to buying SA Godspeed, and I absolutely loved it. So that's just a little backstory on that. But anyways, back to this. You can get it in GMK or SA. I'm going to take you through quick on both these. So can we talk about them? Can we talk about them separate? Because there's a little bit more interesting stuff going on with the SA one that I'd just like to go into. We might have to ignore the timer a bit, but yes.
I didn't start it for this one because I knew there was going to be.
It's a little bit more complicated, yeah. So I'm on the GMK version already, so we can start with that, Jay. No problems there. So the GMK version is kind of interesting. $125. Scroll down here. There's actually two base kits. So you have the more normal colorway, which he's calling the Armstrong base kit here, and then he has the Columbia base kit, which is a little bit more. Monochrome, I guess. It's kind of more of that all blue aesthetic. He does still have the red and yellow accents in both kits, so love seeing that there. Actually, not that bad of a base kit for the price. $125 here. You get numpad. You get multiple ISO enters there. Not full UK ISO, unfortunately, but you do get the basic ISO. You get a lot of text novelties. Love seeing that. That's another reason why I love this so much. This sparked my love for text novelties, because when Mito was having conversations and I was watching and he was talking, with this theme in mind, and I was just seeing all this, all these, I don't know why I haven't expanded on this, sorry you guys, but you look at all these the modifiers rather. Look at this: stage for your tab key, hard over for your caps lock, deflect for your shift, you have your Godspeed enter, cut off for backspace. That kind of stuff really sells me on a set, and I absolutely love this because of that. One thing I'm a little worried about is I thought the colorway translated really, really, really well on SA, which is, a very shiny kind of finish. On GMK, which is a bit more textured and a bit more matte, I feel like the colorway might not translate as well. Regardless, I think I'm going to buy it anyways, just because.
See, I'm probably not going to buy it in the GMK just because I don't think it works in the GMK format. So it's like some colorways do and some colorways don't. We've talked in the past about SA Chocolatier and GMK Chocolatier, for example, and the vast majority of people thinks it looks better in SA than it does in GMK, irrespective of what profile they like to type on. And I think that it's going to be the same here for me. As much as I like, you know, as Godspeed as a theme and everything that it stands for, the whole NASA link and all of that kind of stuff, I just don't feel like it works in GMK as much. But that being said, the base kits are pretty solid. I think when you start to look at the add-ons kit and the novelties kit, the novelties kit has too much going on for it in it for a start. There is too many different novelties based on different planets and stuff like that. I think that doesn't really work, and I think that's reflected in the price as well. So whilst the base kits is pretty well priced at $125, the novelties kit, you know, is pretty expensive, and so is the 40s kit as well. I think they come out like $60 or something.
Yeah, I can't actually see the price because I have to go to the pre-order page, which shows my home address, which I'd rather not do on stream.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah,
if you could list off those prices for the novelties and 40s kits in particular.
Yeah, so it does it in the weird way where it says that it's minus $70.
Oh, so, that's right. It's
yeah. So for me, if I was going to get the 40s add-on kit, it's $72 shipped. If I was going to get the novelties kit, it's $61 shipped. So I think shipping's about $15. So it must be around $45, and for the novelties kit, and $55 for the 40s kit. But $55 for that 40s kit seems a little bit high given the fewer keys that are in there compared to some of the other kits we've talked about today and other sets. So it is kind of interesting, and I'll be interested to see how this sells and whether this hits MOQ because it's custom colors for both base kits. That's going to be really interesting to see whether it does that for GMK or not.
That's true. I mean, I think at this point, with how big our hobby is and how much reach Drop has, I don't think they're going to really have trouble getting like a 250 MOQ on each of those base sets. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm actually curious what MOQ the price is based on. If they actually expected to sell 500 or even 1,000 of either base kit.
It must be close to 500. I suspect Droppers just has a number that they're just going to buy as a minimum, whether it gets that or not. Whether that might be 500, that might be 1,000. They're probably irrespective of how many it sells, they're probably already committed to buying that number. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, definitely. Anyways, I think the compatibility looks pretty good. One thing that's kind of nice is if I'm gonna put this link actually in Twitch chat. So if you actually follow from the r/mech market link that I just put in chat, that actually will give you a link to open up a coupon that gives you a $10 discount on either GMK Godspeed or SA Godspeed, which I thought was kind of cool. It's not a top Clack thing or anything. I just noticed that in the mech market post. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Saves you, your shipping cost or whatever at the very least. So kind of nice to see that little $10 discount there if you do plan on buying either.
Yeah, and it works on both as well. If you want it on the SA and the GMK version, you could do both.
Yeah, I tested earlier. It does work on both, so I thought that was kind of cool. Regardless, I mean, with the $10 discount, I feel like I'm pretty much, it got the GMK version is going to be a must-buy for me. I do agree. I think the colors just won't translate as well. I think you really do need that kind of classic, shiny SA that makes you kind of feel like you're in a cockpit, of one of these spacecraft. And I feel like the GMK version might not do that quite as well, but regardless, I just so much rather type on GMK than SA, so there's my decision.
Mr. Petrov says, is that the Evolv in the render? It is, yes, that's the Evolv by Nathan Alphaman right at the very top there. Yeah.
Yep. And look at that, a 1.5U orbit key.
yeah, they found the key to put in there. Great.
Yeah.
Should we jump over to the SA version? Because there's a few to talk about this one.
Absolutely.
So I won't go down into all the different kits and everything else on this one because we spent a fair bit of time.
There's a lot of kits on this one as well. So
what I did want to talk about is the fact that you can have different colorways within this. So Mito has expanded what SA Godspeed actually means, and there's actually the Aries kit. Now we saw this in multiple different profiles. We've seen Godspeed in multiple different profiles, and we've seen the Aries colorway in I think it was XDA. I think we saw it in.
Yeah, both Aries and Supernova were launched in the XDA version of this. So this is kind of like a third round of Godspeed because he launches it differently each time.
Yeah. So different colorways, so you can start to match with the oranges and the pale blues of the Supernova Alphas and the Aries mods if you want to do that. There is also all of the classic colors that we've seen in Godspeed available before as well as all of the different kits. Now I won't go through all those because there's hundreds of them with it being
kits,
so do take a look at that. What is really interesting though is there's two others that I did want to talk about. So the first one is called Gene Speed, which is great name, Mito as well, on that particular one, which is a grey kind of monochrome themed set. It looks very reminiscent of GMK ASCII that we looked at recently in terms of its actual colours, although this is very much a different set. And I think this looks absolutely stunning. So I really like monochrome sets. It's something that speaks to me. I think this looks great. It's got all of those text novelties, but it does mean that you can have that kind of monochrome, Godspeed look across your board, which is really, really interesting. And it's something a little bit different. Even more interesting, there is also one called the Mito Speed. Now, some of you may recognize this as a different Keycap set. Do you recognize this one, Brian, from anything else?
Well, I would guess it's Mito's highest selling colorway, Laser.
Yeah, right.
He doesn't hide it obviously either. He has he has paragraphs of information on everything. So, Mito is a very thorough man, and I do appreciate that a lot. I'm not a big fan of the SA colorway. I never have been. That's just me. So I'm not a big fan of the Mito Speed kit, but I kind of get it. I like it. If I had to pick between the two, I think Gene Speed is way nicer in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. I think this is very much a case of apply a colorway to a different theme, and he's actually taken a colorway that he's used for something else and applied the Godspeed theme to it.
Yeah, one thing I don't entirely understand. Okay, so just a little quick backstory. The first run of SA Godspeed had an additional kit called the Cockpit kit. And so the idea was if you didn't want to go through a sculpted SA with a bunch of kit breakdown, you could just buy the Cockpit kit, which was like a full base kit in itself, and it was uniform row 3. So you didn't have the sculpted SA profile like you did if you had bought each kit of SA Godspeed that you needed. So, he gave that option, which was nice. Some people like uniform SA, and some people just want to buy one base kit. It was not very expensive either, and it covered a lot of boards. So yeah, that was cool. And that's what he's doing again here with the Mito Speed. So if you check out the text here, this the Mito Speed is actually a uniform row 3 profile, while the Gene Speed is actually not. The Gene Speed is still sculpted. So I thought it was kind of interesting. Why didn't he just take the Gene Speed, make that uniform, and not even run the Mito Speed? The Mito Speed, I just don't really understand it. The colorway doesn't really fit the theme for me.
It's interesting when you said that, because when I was reading through this and looking through it before the show, I saw both Gene Speed and Mito Speed. I thought, oh, they're cool. I need to talk about those. And I quickly glanced at the Gene Speed and saw it was all monochrome and everything else. Looked at the Mito Speed, saw that it was basically laser but rebranded with a different theme, and then realized it was all R3 caps. And I was really surprised. I thought the Speed part of the name was going to relate to it being all R3, and when I went back to the Gene Speed, I was really surprised that it wasn't R3 and that it was sculpted. So I was really interested by that. I do personally think that if I'm going to use SA, I like all R3 sets. So the only SA set I ever use is the original set. I've forgotten the name of it now. It's the one that's based on it's based on Top Gun.
Commando? No, it's not Commando.
No, not Commando.
Oh no, we got to get this before chat. We both know this. We got to get it before chat.
I'm gonna kick myself.
Crap. Danger Zone. No.
Chat got there. Racing Giraffe.
Chat beat us to it on that one.
SA Danger Zone. So that's the only SA set I used. The original run of that was all R3. I think the subsequent sets had it sculpted and things like that. But so I did think that the speed denomination of the name was going to refer to the R3, and then it just didn't. So I'm kind of sad about that.
I just think from a colorway perspective, it doesn't make sense. Why would you launch SA Laser within Godspeed and then just add the Godspeed novelties to the set?
Well,
I mean, I like it, but I don't like the colorway.
Yeah, I think this is where Mito is now trying to take away the link between colorway and theme. and he's coming up with a new Clementia that suggests that themes and colorways may be interchangeable, and this is his first test of that. I think we've seen kind of similar with Metalet's before when we've seen his Metalet's kits. So I think this is just an expansion of that. But SA Laser did sell really well. It was one of the highest selling SA sets for a long time, and GMK Laser sold exceptionally well for the time. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I would love for Drop to release numbers on how much each of these kits sell. I'm not sure if they will do it. I know they usually do, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see. So yeah. Anyway, that was all my thoughts. That's why I wanted to just split it up and talk about it a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, I get it was a community thing, guys. I did read the paragraph. I still just don't understand that, because I mean, you know, forever we've always attributed colorways with the colorway name. You know, you release a set, and then that's what people think. You know, when you think of, you know, Pulse or whatever, like you know the Pulse colorway, and you think of Laser, you know the Laser colorway. Like nobody looks at this set and goes, that's Godspeed, when they see the colors, right? Nobody's gonna do that. Everyone knows that's Laser. Yeah. So I don't know. It seems a little confusing to me. I understand the Gene Speed. I get it. It is different, and if, you know, people don't want to worry about buying a bunch of kits, they can just buy one encompassing kit. Bam, you get it. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna stay confused on the Mito Speed.
Yeah, and that's fair.
Regardless, I think the rest of the set looks fantastic. It's my favorite SA colorway, hands down. I love the theme, and I think Mito does a really good job on promoting it.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Okay, should we move over onto our last topic for the show before we move into our sponsoring Q&A segments?
Yes, we should. So last topic of the day is actually some new switches that has been kind of a, I guess, a collaboration project between Project Keyboard and Canon Keys, both very awesome, nice US vendors for keyboard stuff. And they have a couple things going on. So they have 2 new switches. I guess they have names. I kind of talked to Upas a little bit about this. They don't really have names. They're kind of just based on the colors. So there's a Mauve and there's a Lilac. And there is 2 versions. The Mauve is a linear, and the Lilac is a tactile. They both use a 65-gram bottom mount spring. They are both PCB mount. They both use nylon housings with palm stems, and they are both manufactured by JWK/Duroc, and they are both 55 cents a piece, or $5.50 for a pack of 10. So yeah. There's not a whole lot to talk about on these. You know, we've been seeing a lot more Duroc/JWK switches releasing lately. These should be very similar to something like the Alpacas that have been recently launched, the Marshmallows that recently launched, you know, both out of the same factory. The Lilac Tactile should be very similar to the T1s, the only difference being some of the material compositions, but otherwise should feel pretty darn similar. Oh, you put nice. I like that you put both links.
Yeah,
in there.
I did one for each of Canon Keys and one for Project Keyboard.
What's funny is I went to Project Keyboard and I ordered the linears. Then I went to Canon Keys and I ordered the tactiles.
Nice. Yeah. That's not a bad way of doing it. Yeah.
It was funny because before the stream, because normally I don't like to show actual vendor product pages on stream, which is why I often show, even for group buys, like the Keycap page, because it's more neutral, right? Like everything's listed there, all the information's there. You don't have to show like priority to one vendor or another. So before the stream, I was like, "Hey, like, do you guys have a Keycap page or something I can post?" And he's like, "No, we don't have one." He's like, you could just use the Project Keyboard page." And I was like, "All right, I guess whatever." What's actually funny is recently the Mauve linears sold out on Canon Keys, but they are still available on Project Keyboard. So if you do want the linears, this is where you buy them.
I'm buying some right now. I'm literally I'm literally on the checkout point of the page right now.
Awesome.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So
there you go, look, guys.
I believe Nice. I believe the Lilacs are still available on both sites, but I believe the linears alone, the Mauve, are only available right now on Project Keyboard. I don't think there's any proxies, as far as I'm aware, at least. I haven't seen any. Have you, Jay?
No, I haven't. I did talk to Upas about these a while ago, I say a while ago, a couple of days ago. As far as I know, there isn't another proxy. No, he didn't mention there was another proxy at the time to me. So that's why I've just grabbed them from from Project Keyboard because I wanted the linear ones. So yeah, grabbed the Mauve switches, and I don't know if I want to get the tactiles as well. I'm not sure. I have some other JWK tactile switches. So.
I mean, they're not terribly expensive. I figured I might as well order both and try them out. So the Lilac tactile are supposed to be more of a match for GMK Bingsu, which is obviously a key set designed and ran by Project Keyboard, and the Mauve linear actually is supposed to match with a couple different sets that are ran by Canon Keys. So I thought that was kind of interesting as well. They kind of just place themselves in each other's hands there and kind of hedge their bets by covering a little bit more colorways than just one. So
sure,
like seeing that. So yeah, I already bought some of each. I'll of course let you guys know my thoughts once I get them in. I'm actually planning on using the Mauve switches for my Southpaw full size. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm waiting on those. I got tracking for them, yesterday or the day before or whatever. I bought them the day they went up. So just waiting on those, then I can finally build my Southpaw full size J.
Nice. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that build. But I think these switches are going to be great. It's nice to have some different options on there. As you said, 65 gram bottom out on a linear is pretty good. I think they're going to be great. Yeah,
and
I really like the colors as well. Yes, PCB mount.
I can't preach enough how much I need every switch to be PCB mount. It seems like such an afterthought. A lot of people don't even care if it's PCB or plate mount. Nah, man. You can turn PCB mount into plate mount, but you can't turn plate mount into PCB mount. And for that reason alone, a PCB mount will always be superior. There's not really ever a reason, in our enthusiast community at least, to run plate mount switches, I feel. All right. Now that that rant is over, let's move on to our sponsors. But before that, I want to touch real quick on the Q&A that we're about to start in just a moment after our sponsors. So if you guys do have questions, now's a good time to start getting those in. You can just ask right there in the Twitch chat. Use @TopClack so we can see them. It highlights the question for us, helps us out a lot. Please do that if you are planning on asking any questions. So yeah, get those in right now, guys. And starting us off this week, we have the wonderful ZealPC.net, aka Zeal Generation. Which, of course, you can use our affiliate link for, zealpc.net/TopClack. Helps us out a ton. He has lots of things in stock, as usual. Switches, mainly, whether you like linears, or tactiles, or silent variations thereof. He's got you covered with lots of different color varieties these days as well. So he's got you covered no matter what you're looking for. Especially the Aqua Silence. I like those quite a bit. I like the way they feel, and I like the way they look quite a bit. I need to put those on the board soon. But which board?
Absolutely.
Which board? Yes, so once again, make sure you use zealpc.net/TopClack so you can get the affiliate link bonus there. Helps us out. Doesn't cost you anything extra, of course, but it does help out TopClack way more than you think.
Yeah, absolutely. Jumping over to novel keys then, Mike and gang have got quite a few things up this week. GMK Darling is still in group buy right now. One of the nicer looking sets from our very own Apocalypse as well, who's quite active on TopClack as well. So definitely something I'm interested in. There's also GMK Boba Fett. So we touched on this a couple of weeks ago, which is a fully licensed official Star Wars themed set. It's completely legitimate, guys, so you can still pick that up if you are interested in it. It is a little bit on the more expensive side, but it's completely Disney authentic and everything else, so feel free to go and check that out if you're interested. If that's not up your street, then there is also a cam set that's available at the moment, which is Cam Wraith. Based on the old Spectrum and everything else, there's an Spectrum from the early 80s. This is a really, really interesting key set. It's taken a while to get to group buy, but Beep, I think, has knocked it out of the park with this one as well. I assume you guys talked about this one on the show last week, and I was just not here from it, because man, I'm a fan, and I've already picked this up. I think it looks absolutely stunning. It's great. So do definitely check that out, and also check out the desk pads as well, because that looks great as well. And GMK Zhuyin, which we touched on earlier on, is also on there too. So you can take a look at that, and you can pick up Zhuyin. It's available in stock for both of the different variations, white on black and black on white. As well as that, Mike and gang have got everything else you possibly want, from switches to stabilizers to desk mats. You name it, they've got it. And just a couple of big shout outs. They've actually got two different types of stabilizers which look really cool at the moment. They've got the Durox stabilizers in a nice purple color, which look great, and we've tried those out on stream. They're pretty damn good stabilizers, up there with matching Zeal.
Oh, are they?
Okay.
They're
really good.
I didn't actually know about them until the other day, and I bought some, but I had no idea how good they were.
Yeah, so I will say I did a bit of a test on all of the different types of stabilizers a couple of weeks ago. The QC on them from the factory is slightly less, so this isn't Mike or anyone else's fault, but sometimes the clips for the wires don't hold properly. But when you actually get the ones that were, I think I had one in every single pack that wasn't one of kind of the housings that wasn't good quality in every single pack I've had. But other than that, once they're actually built, lubed, and everything else, they feel as good as Zeal stabs. The other ones are the Olivia Plus Plus themed stabilizer kits. So guys, if you bought Olivia Plus Plus, there is a themed stabilizer kit that you can now buy that's got pink housing, it's got rose gold wires, it's got black insets, it's got black screws, you name it, guys, it matches GMK Olivia. They are there. They are a limited edition of the C3 equals stabs, which work perfectly with GMK. They do have some problems with EPBT, but they work perfectly with GMK. They're in group buy until the end of February. Definitely check those out if you're interested in them, because they do look really rather good. If theming your board is what you want to do, you might want to.
That is certainly a way to go about it. Yeah.
And of course, if you want a 5% discount on anything that's in stock in the store, so not the group buys, but anything that's in stock, so that GMK Boba Fett set is included in this, you can use the code Clack, that's all one word, CLICK, CLACK, Clack, all one word, and that will get you 5% off anything in stock.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, we have Input Club over at Kono.store, who has several things going on right now, as usual. Starting with one of my favorite sets of the month, Cat Oasis. So we just talked about that earlier, looking at pretty awesome. You have tons and tons of kit options. If you want it blank, whatever. If you want to, throw it on a 40s board, really cheap, very inexpensive as far as key sets go. It's definitely one of the driving factors of me loving Cat so much. Next up, they have GMK Hero, which is still open right now. If I can find it in their... they don't have it in their list anymore. Oh, it's right here. Kono changes their site around, I swear, so often. It always throws me off. Always. GMK Hero is still up for group buy, so if you're maybe a fan of Zelda-inspired stuff, this could be a GMK set for you. And they still have the Romney Mechanical Switch data books available. So Jay and I were talking a little bit about this a couple weeks ago. It's a pretty cool coffee table kind of board to look, or book to look at, so it's pretty awesome. I haven't had the pleasure of receiving mine yet, but hoping to get one soon. And yeah, definitely. And of course, just because Kono is one of the only places that does this, if you missed out on any of their group buys, they usually still leave all of their sets open for pre-order afterwards. So if you missed out on one, you can still secure a spot for extra. So maybe let's say you missed out on GMK Ursa, which was one of my favorite sets from last month. You missed out on that, no big deal. You can pre-order it now, get your extra going, easy peasy, guys. All right, and shout out to Japanese Horror Writer for the 1,000 bits. Thank you so much.
Yeah, remind me, I need to come back to talking about Japanese Horror Writer in a few minutes once we finish the sponsor section, so just remind me about that in case I forget.
Okay.
So next up we've got KBDfans. Let me press the link for that in chat. There we go. This is Way & Co. So bear in mind that they are closed at the moment for Chinese New Year. They do reopen, I think it's on the 10th. I think when I was looking the other day, they reopen on the 10th. However, they do have a number of things in group buy. So they have the Enjoy PBT double shot ABS. So EPBT but ABS, double shot ABS, Venice keycap set in group buy right now for $69. Great price, great number, 69, absolutely perfect. The laser on switches still in group buy. So if you did look at Godspeed on drop and you liked the SA laser version of that, the Mito Speed set, then perhaps you want to pick up some switches for that. You could pick up the laser themed switches, the laser on switches. But what KBDfans is most famous for is it's a full series of entry-level kits and items. So there's a ton of stuff on there that you can buy, which will give you pretty much any layout you could possibly want. There are so many different kits and so many different boards that KBDfans sell. The quality is ever increasing, and they really do cater to people just joining the hobby. Everything from accessories to switches to artisan keycaps to keycap sets to you name it, they've got it, right? So please do go check them out if you want to get someone interested in the hobby, or if there's any parts that you want to try out. Maybe you want to try a different size board out for the first time. Definitely go take a look at that. And as well as that, you can also check out the B stock market. So if there is a board on the B stock that might be a budget version of a board because it's got some slight damage, you can get some really, really, really good quality deals from there on occasion. And this changes pretty much on a weekly basis. It hasn't updated for a couple of weeks because of Chinese New Year, but when KBDfans are actually in the office and they're doing group buys and everything else, this updates fairly regularly. So do check this out. Keep going back to it. You might find an accessory, an add-on, a replacement case, or something for any of the boards you own or want to own that might give you something at a really good price. So definitely bear that in mind.
Yep, absolutely. Last but not least, we have the Keycap company, who, as of late, has lots of things going on. So they are running Cat Drifter right now, which does close tomorrow. So if you guys wanted to get in on that Hyperlight Drifter themed set, but you weren't a fan of the DSA version, well, Cat is better than DSA in my opinion. So bam, there you go. Pretty inexpensive. Infinity Hive also going on right now, so you get a ton of compatibility for a relatively low price. Love seeing that. Desmat also fantastic on that one, in my opinion. The Godspeed 75, the 75% board that they still are running right now, $380. Pretty inexpensive. It's pretty good color options and a pretty nice board overall. So if you're in the market for a pretty high end at 75%, this could be a good time to get one. It does close on February 21st, so you got about a couple weeks left on that. No big deal. And like we saw earlier, they are still running a GMK Future Funk, which just launched, and that's doing pretty well as well. So
yeah, just
nice.
on Cat Drifter as well, if anyone is looking for that, there's only 10% of the allocated EU slots left on that one, so it's getting close to the wire. Yeah,
good to know then. Good to know. Also, since is it actually linked on the site here? The strategist thing, the thing that you linked here.
It's not linked on the site, but you can let me drop that in there. So
you're gonna drop that? Okay.
Yeah, I'll drop it in chat. Yeah.
Yeah. So TKC is actually hiring right now. They're looking for a social media strategist, as they call it, and where that link is posted in chat that Jade has put in there, that's where you can get some more information and potentially apply. So if you're looking to maybe get a little minor job and to get yourself in the keyboard community, could be pretty awesome. So yeah, make sure to
it's
check it out.
It's a paid role as well. It's not a full-time job or anything like that, but it's a paid role. So definitely do that if you're interested in social media aspects of working with a keyboard company.
Yeah, could be pretty cool. Could be pretty cool. So yeah, it'd be nice if maybe someone from the top Clack community got that position.
That'd be interesting.
That could be kind of cool.
That'd be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's roll into the Q&A. I did see a few questions roll in earlier already, so we can
excellent.
We can start off there. But of course, as usual, if you guys still have questions, now's a great time to ask them before we head off for the night. Depleted Vespine starting us out, asking how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? 14.
I was going to say about tree fitty, but
about tree fitty. Okay, if tree fitty works as well, I think there's a lot of answers to this.
42069 as well is not bad.
Oh yep, XX 420 no scope YY ladder stall 69 XX. Yeah, no big deal. Good stuff. All right, force it clap with our second question.
Just before we do, I just want to give a big shout out to Japanese horror writer. So I didn't talk about this at the beginning because I wanted to talk about it when I saw him in chat. I was suspecting he'd probably drop his bits in chat. A couple of weeks ago, I mentioned that I missed having something on the set, and that was GMK Unicorn. And Japanese horror writer has actually been really, really nice. He sent me a small letter, which I'll read out in a second, and he's actually sent me his personal GMK Unicorn set. So thank you very much for that, Japanese horror writer. Really appreciate it. He says, "Dear Jay, the barrier of entry in this hobby is very high. You guys are constantly working to lower it. I just wanted to say thank you for doing that. I make content too, so I very much respect the hard work that both of us do. Much of it can go unnoticed. So both of us, to you and I, Brian, just wanted to send a little appreciation because it sounded like you missed your mod set. So thank you very, very much, Japanese horror writer. I really, really appreciate that. It really made my day when it came in. I know I sent you a message to say thank you, but genuinely from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much, dude, because I have missed having this mod set in my life, and now I have it back, and I can use it on some boards. So thank you very much for that. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, that guy is spectacular, man. I don't think there's ever been someone that I've liked so much that talks so little. Because he really doesn't talk, like he's not terribly active in the community vocally. Like you never really hear him talk. He comes in, he watches, he drops like 1,000 bits. And like that's his Thursday, and it's amazing. But like whenever you do talk to him, he's super duper nice about everything. He really is a stand-up guy.
Yeah, we've been chatting away for the past couple of days, little bits and pieces. He is down to earth, the nicest guy in the world, and I just wanted to do a little bit of a special thank you for that. Rather than get mixed in with mail call, I wanted to do something a little bit separate for it. So thank you very much.
Definitely, that is amazing. All right, next question. Force and Eclap asking, I saw that Jay will be the EU vendor for GMK Bleached in the interest check, which have a very similar kitting to Moto Light. Do you know when will this set run? What the pricing will be? Maybe also similar to Moto Light. Most importantly, will there be a $5 discount on day 1 too?
First of all, we've literally only just started talking about this, so it's really, really early days. It's in the interest check. No, excuse me, no details for the group 5 being set yet. The kits, whilst they're there, they're just suggestions. They may be tweaked or changed. I think some of the other vendors that are involved, we've had some talks as well about suggestions on how that might be changed or altered. There's no dates or anything else as yet. That's all still to be fleshed out. So it's really, really early days. It's very much check, and I'm probably giving you more background detail than I should be. So I don't have any further answers for you than that at the minute, I'm afraid. But just keep watching the IC. As soon as there's more information, I'll be on there. So, yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff. All right. Depleted Vespine with another question, asking, what is our favorite vintage, not produced anymore, Switch?
I know my answer.
Is this Brown Alps?
Yeah, Alps Browns.
I feel like that's the easy answer. That's what most people would.
It
pick.
is.
It is a good Switch.
It
is a good Switch.
It's true.
Yeah, there's no getting around it.
It's true.
I'm gonna go with a curveball here. I'm gonna go with something nobody saw coming. SKCM White Alps. So
really?
Yes,
really?
Here is why. I really don't find them that much worse than SKCM Blues, and they're way cheaper and way easier to find. And because of that, I just love that value, man. I think whites are just a great Switch.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm not as much as a vintage guy like I used to be. I used to be really into like Alps and buckling spring and stuff like that. But like I've since kind of moved away in that in favor of the more modern customs and switches and stuff. So I am certainly not an expert on vintage switches, though I have used a lot of them, and I do love things like SKCM Browns and Blues and stuff like that. But they're too rare. And I feel like when you do find them, and I've had my hands on them, I've built Brownouts customs before and stuff. I know what it's like. They are great switches, but it's too much of a nightmare. I'd rather use something more accessible and a little bit more humble.
Sure, got you.
I also really like the Model F, so capacitive buckling spring. Love that.
Yes,
absolutely love that typing experience.
Do you know what I actually quite like as well? I like Space Invader switches, and I really shouldn't because they're terrible, but I like the fact that they're terrible.
They are terrible. But like that's like the whole point. Right? It's vintage, it's nostalgic, it's fun.
They've got a charm, right? It's just
they have a lot of charm. Yeah. I have some of the linears, the white ones. Actually, someone from the Discord, Beep, is local to me from Pluggable, and he's making me like from the ground up. He's building me a Space Invaders custom, and I'm really, really excited about it.
Nice. That sounds really cool. Yeah,
super happy. Anyways, back to the questions. Melodit asking, since you mentioned wanting to move past percentage names, what non-percentage names would you give to layouts like 60%, 65%, 75%, etc.? That's a fantastic question.
It is, and I'll be honest, I don't necessarily have any answers to that. I just don't like the 60% or any of the percent naming convention that we've got in the hobby. I think we could come up with better names, and I'm probably not the person to do that, but like earlier on you said we could call it 60% compact. There's other choices there as well.
Yeah,
I think the one thing that it needs to do to me is 60% to someone who's not in the hobby doesn't mean anything. 60% of what? If you said 60% keyboard to a random person on the street, they're probably not going to understand what that is. But if you said, oh, it's a keyboard without a numpad on it and without any modifier keys and arrow keys and stuff, oh, just the alphas then, they might kind of get it from that. But I think if we had something that was a really easy naming convention to follow, and it could be anything, that you could call them alpha, beta, delta, gamma, whatever, give them any name, just give them a name to make sense. Like the one we talked about earlier on, I think you could call that the candy bar layout, and I think that would take off quite well. Like TKL is obvious what it is from the name, 10 keyless. It doesn't have an numpad. We can definitely do better than we're doing now.
I'm not gonna say that ditching the percentage system entirely would ever be easy, because in reality it's not, and because of that it's probably never gonna happen. I think it's just too ingrained in the community, and we've gotten too big too fast, and everyone just uses that, and there's really no way to change that right now. But if there were, I think it would only take, maybe a few people to just sit down and have a meeting. A few people that are like really ingrained with the community, with the hobby, and kind of understand and are very neutral about these kind of things. If you could just sit down, a few of those people in a chat and you talk for, 6 hours or 8 hours or whatever, I think you could probably nail down a good list of things we could call boards based on size.
Yeah, maybe someone needs to set up a Keycap topic and have the discussion and the debate. Don't know.
Yeah,
don't know. We probably never move away from it.
I would love to be part of that discussion, by the way, if I wasn't clear about that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can come up with names off the top of my head, but if I sat down and I thought about it for like a week, I could probably come up with some things. I'm sure, just like most people in the hobby, I'm sure could. Lunarsol says I'm loud. Am I too loud? Or is Jay too quiet?
Not to me. You've sounded the same volume all the way through to me. Yeah.
Audio should be pretty balanced, but I guess if it's off, just let me know, guys, and I'll try to do my best to adjust it. Let's see. Stebosaurus asking, any thoughts on the drop holy pandas with palm housings? Is that a thing now?
Yeah, they went up for sale yesterday. I didn't realize there were palm housings. I just saw them and thought it's Holy Pandas again.
I thought it was just a rerun of Holy Pandas. I didn't realize it was a new housing. My apologies, guys. Otherwise that probably would have just been on the news doc, to be totally honest with you.
I can't actually see them on the site now.
Where do they?
Oh, there we go. Found them. Okay.
Where do they mention it's palm? POM.
I'm looking through.
Oh, okay, at the bottom. Housing made from palm. All right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I'd be interested to. I'm actually gonna reach out to not Mass Sorry, Old Habit. I'm gonna reach out to Drop, and I'm gonna ask him if I can test some of these out, and see if there's actually like any difference. Because maybe it could make a difference. I mean, the problem with the Holy Panda before was that it was not smooth at all, and even with proper lubing, it was hard to get every single switch like absolutely perfect. It really was. And this could be a solution to that. So maybe we'll wait and see. I'm curious to know as well as if they are going to factory lube these or not, because that was a big downfall for them last time. Okay,
unlubed. It says on there. That was one thing I did see. That
these ones unlubed from the factory.
Unlubed from the factory. Yeah, 100% unlubed. So
fantastic. All right, that should make a lot of people happy, because for those of you that aren't in the know, that's the issue they struggled with last time. They put out the run of Holy Pandas. They had the factory lubed. It was incredibly inconsistent, and a lot of people did not take very kindly to that. So I'm glad to see that they're fixing that this time by unlubing them. Or, well, just not lubing them, I guess. So that's pretty cool. Happy to see that. I'm going to try to get some. I don't like how expensive they are. It looks like they're about $1 plus per Switch. Which I don't like at all, because at that price range, you're competing with the Zelio V2, which I think is a far superior Switch in terms of feel. So, could be worth it to some of you, maybe not to others. I'm going to try to get some and see if that palm housing really does make a difference.
Yeah, fine, yeah. I think I'm past the Holy Panda.
Yeah. I still get questions about Holy Pandas, and I don't... Like, Holy Pandas aren't the Switch they were 3 years ago. Like, they're just not. I don't think they're nearly as good as they used to be. I don't think they're worth $1 a Switch. I don't even think they're worth, 75 cents a Switch, or I think they're probably worth around 50 cents a Switch, 50, 55 maybe in that price range.
I mean, if I was going to spend $1 a Switch for a tactile, I'd probably pick up a Zealio V2 because
it's just the Zealio V2s. They feel tighter, they feel more consistent. The tactility is larger, it's rounder. They're infinitely smoother than a Holy Panda will ever be. So it's I don't know. To me, that's a no-brainer. But a lot of people really do like that bottom out sound of Holy Panda, which I think is something that you can't really replicate anywhere else because it's so unique. Because the idea was you're taking a Switch that actually had a shorter travel distance than 4mm, and you're putting it into a housing that was supposed to have 4mm travel or whatever. So because of that, the stem is actually extended farther down than a normal 4mm travel Switch. So you actually get a much more intense clack when you bottom out because you're not supposed to be bottoming out at that point. So that's why I think that's one of the main reasons why the Holy Panda saw so much success is because the board that I have it in, there's nothing else like it. Nothing else feels and sounds like that.
Yeah, absolutely, fully agree. I've got them actually in the board I'm using right now, my Satisfaction 75, but these are original OG Holy Pandas, not any of the new ones. So at least I know they're lubed all right because I lubed them myself. But yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, next question.
Scrolling down.
So the next question comes from GOM. He says, "Rootin' tootin'."
That's not a question.
Wait, he's got a question mark on the end.
You don't get special treatment because you're a mod, Geo. I'm sorry. Wilson1155 is asking, what are the combination of the inverse stem that you have tried and Switch is your top Switch combination?
Okay. So these are the UHM WP stems, and I'll be honest, I tried a handful in some switches and I really liked them, but when I actually did a full batch of switches, I found that the tolerances on the stems were quite variable, and some switches were not as good as others. I don't know if that's just the batch I've got, or if other people have had that same experience.
I've heard that sentiment echoed quite a bit.
Yeah, I haven't looked into it too much. I've been quite busy off of the show, so I haven't had much chance to look into it. But I haven't put them in a board because of that at the minute. That being said, my best experience with them so far in stems that are of good tolerance, let's say, has been just standard Gatoron switches, black-based, milky top, picky variant, whether you want to use blacks or yellows or whatever else for the spring, but I've just been putting them in them and they feel great. They feel fantastic in those. I didn't particularly like them in creams. I didn't think they worked well in creams, and it wasn't from a smoothness perspective. It's actually from a sound perspective. I think they've ruined the sound profile of the creams a little bit because I kind of like Nolivs and creams to sound as they do sound stock. So just in standard Gatoron housings, I thought that sounded great and felt great. So that would be my choice.
I haven't done very much testing or experimentation yet, but I completely agree. I've tried them in a few different housings, and I feel like they probably benefit the most in the Gatoron housing, partially because Gatoron switches are so cheap that if you're going to spend money on a Switch just to swap out the stem, I think it makes sense to spend less money and just get Gatoron switches and then put the stem in, because after the stem's in and you lube them, you're not going to have any friction anyways. So, I mean, you don't really have to worry about whether it's going to be smooth or not because you already know it is. In the same vein, I think it might be a little wasteful to put them in something like a Telio and maybe even a Gatoron Ink, just because those are much more expensive switches by comparison. So, I don't know. I haven't tried them in a full board yet, actually, so I'm still waiting on that. But I don't know. I'll probably just wind up putting them in Gatoron housings, to be totally honest with you. Especially now that I've heard so many people talk about the inconsistency across a full board, that I don't want to invest anything beyond what the cost of Gatorons is in that. And I'll be awaiting the V2, because I know the V2 is coming soon as well. And I'm assuming and hoping that they're going to fix the tolerance issues.
I heard that had been fixed. I did see that someone said that the tolerance had been fixed on one conversation I had. So yeah, hopefully that's the case, because I think they have a lot of potential. So yeah.
I'm actually wearing a Holy Panda shirt too. On a totally side note, but since we were just since we were talking about Holy Pandas, I need to wash mine again. I keep staining mine.
Staining it? Oh, I don't want to know.
I'm so embarrassed. No, it's like it's food. It's actually the last one is I think like a pen. It's like blue penning, which I don't even understand how I got on there because I don't ever really use pens.
Yeah. Okay. You said it was all food, and then you said it was penning. What the hell do you?
It was food.
What is your diet made up of?
It was food the first time. It was pen the second time. I like food. Okay. Jeez. Why are you such a hater, Jay? Gee.
I'm not a hater.
I know. Whatever. I'm mad at you now. Temp just kidding. Temp321 with our next question asking thoughts on FR4 versus polycarbonate plates. Also, half plates. You want to start this one?
Yeah, sure. So, FR4's fine. I think if I was going to go for something non-metal that I wanted firm, I definitely prefer carbon fiber. It's no secret that I like that material. I would pick carbon fiber over FR4 personally. FR4 feels a little bit stiffer than carbon fiber, but it just feels like two PCBs because that's what it is.
That's what it is.
What I will say for it though is it sounds excellent. It has a really great sound profile, and for that I think it's good. In terms of PC, if you want something softer, PC is very much going to be softer depending on the mount style of the board. Of course, the tray mount is not going to make much difference, but a top mount board, for example, it will. So PC will have bend and flex to it, and it will be very much a softer bottom mount. It'll be a different typing experience to FR4. It will also have a much more rounder sound. It won't be quite as harsh. It definitely does soften the sounds, and obviously there's much less ping with both of those types of plate than there are with any metal plate as well. I wouldn't say they're pretty comparable. They are very different depending on whether you want a firmer typing experience, in which case I go for FR4. If you want something that's softer, then I would go for PC.
Yeah, for sure. My opinion, pretty much the same. The reason I like FR4 is because of how cheap it is. It's always the cheapest plate option because of the material itself is just, you know, it's so dirt cheap compared to the other materials
that we use. It's just fiberglass.
Yeah, it's just fiberglass. So I don't know. I've typed on a few FR4 plates and I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm not a big fan of stiff typing experiences like Jay is. He prefers the stiffer typing experiences. I like more flex. So for that reason alone, I kind of veer away from FR4. But again, like Jay, I do appreciate the sound a lot. It's very, very nice. But out of those two, I have to pick polycarbonate. I think the polycarbonate feel is just a little bit better for me. A little bit softer, provides a lot more flex. And I like that signature kind of poppy sound that you get when you bottom out in polycarbonate.
Yeah, it's much rounder. Yeah, you're right.
It's very interesting and very unlike everything else. As far as half plates are concerned, I like them, but I haven't really used enough of them. I have a few boards with half plates on the way, or I think I have like 1 or 2 boards with half plates on the way. So I'll have more opinions on that, but I like it. But then again, it's like the reason you'd use a half plate, generally speaking, is because you want more flex or you prefer typing on PCB mount, not necessarily because you like that material.
Yes. I'm not completely sold on half plates, and I have a few boards with half plates in, but I'm not completely sold on it. Something that I would want on every board. I think it very much depends on who you are and what your typing experience is like. I think it tends to work better for me on bigger boards. Does a half plate? It works better on a TKL for me than it does on, say, a 60%. So yeah, but your mileage may vary, and again, it's all super subjective. Is this? You could ask 10 different people and get, well, you could ask 10 different people and get 15 different answers.
Yeah. And none of them would be wrong.
Different days, yeah, and none of them are wrong. It's all right, you know. So yeah, so I think try it out. Why not try it out? Yeah, it's fine. What I would say is if you're going to pick a half plate, make sure you're using PCB mount switches, because plate mount switches with a half plate is a tough time. That's a really tough time.
Yeah, you don't want to work with that combination. It's just better to avoid it altogether.
Yep. Okay.
Yep, good question, by the way. Violet Viceroy with our next question, asking, feels like there are a dozen beautiful keycap sets in group buy now. Which sets are you most looking forward to?
Oh, man, there's so many good ones. I can't pick.
Let's see. Well, he's talking about key sets in group buy, so, well, I mean, why don't we just read off what we've bought recently in key set group buys, because that would, in turn, display what we like in the key set group.
Yeah, okay. Cat Drifter, Cat Oasis, Modo Light, Perestroika. What else is in group buy that I bought?
I'm bringing up the key set doc right now just so I can look.
Yeah, read it through and I'll just give a thumbs up or a thumbs down if I bought it or not.
Okay. Well, let's start with January. We'll do January and February. So January is GMK Copper.
Yes, bought it.
Okay, I did not buy that. GMK Darling.
Didn't buy.
I didn't
do
either.
like it.
I do like it, but I didn't buy it. GMK Future Funk.
Yes, so I haven't bought it, but will be.
Okay, I haven't bought it. GMK Fuyu.
Bought it.
Okay, I'm still planning on potentially buying it. I haven't made up my mind yet. GMK Hero.
No, not for me.
I want to buy it, but I'm still unsure. GMK Metaverse Round 2.
Nope.
I got to pass on that one too. It's a little too busy of a set for me.
That's exactly what it is. It's just too busy on the alphas.
Yeah. For me, for it's all personal. Infinity Hive.
Tempted.
I think I'm gonna buy it because I haven't bought it yet, but I think I'm gonna buy it because if I recall, this is the one. Yeah. So this is the one that has like a normal core base kit for $80, and then it has that like mega kit for $125. I think I'm gonna pick up the core on that one because that's all I need, and that's only $80, and it still comes with a ridiculous amount of compatibility for $80. So
yeah, it does. You very much true.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to buy that. So I haven't yet, but that's gonna be for me as well. Cam Wraith.
Yes, I will be buying that. I'd forgotten it was in group buy, but I absolutely will be buying that. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna buy that one yet. Cat Drifter, Oasis, and Specimen.
Yeah, so the only one of those I've not picked up is Specimen, and I should have picked up one of the blank sets for that because it was super cheap.
It was so cheap. It was like dirt cheap. I haven't bought any of those. I'm going to buy Oasis. I'm gonna pass on Drifter. I'm gonna pass on Specimen. Just because of the colorway, but I do like how cheap Specimen can get with those blanks. So that was January. February, GMK Finer Things.
Yeah, as I said earlier on, I've gone through a complete 180 degree on that. I wasn't going to buy it, and now I probably am. Yeah. Although I might wait till month end to make a decision on that one.
Sure. Modern Dolch Light. I think both of us already bought that. Perestroika. You already bought that.
Yeah.
I will probably buy that. GMK Zhuyin. That's the add-on kit that we talked about earlier.
If I do buy one, it'll be the black on white set, I think, to go with minimal. If I do buy one of those.
I think I am going to get one, and I'm going to get the white on black version, actually.
Okay, interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I like that a little bit more. And also just because I prefer the either icon or combo mods. I don't actually own GMK Minimal anymore, because I had to sell it a while back, so I wouldn't match that. But I have white on black coming in, so
gotcha.
Might as well just stick with that. Cat Lucky Jade. I think both of us said we're buying that.
Yes, absolutely. The color's just too nice not to.
Yeah, and then both Godspeeds, SA and GMK. I'm probably going to get one of the two. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to get one of the two.
I still have SA Godspeed, and I'm not a fan of the GMK one, sadly, so I'll be skipping that.
There you go. GMK Spirit. I haven't even heard of this one yet. That goes live on the 10th.
Yes. Yeah, so that's basically SA Strong Spirit, but it's GMK4. But it's very similar to GMK Lux, so we probably need to talk about that next week, actually.
Yeah, this one, it hasn't actually gone live yet. It goes live in 4 days, so I don't even know why I brought that up. But yeah, those are the sets from January up until now that Jay and I have or have not bought. There you go.
Cool.
So that's how we feel about recent sets. Sorry, that was a long answer, guys.
Nope. What's the next grade? I can't even find where we are in the questions.
I have it. It's fine. Give me a second. I'm just scrolling here. Scrolling to find a tag. Sometimes we have to scroll for a while. All right, XCS2 asking, is it known whether or not the Mauve switches are lubed from the factory? I assume they are.
I don't think it's been said. I would be tempted to reach out to Project Keyboard and Upas at Cannon Keys and ask those. I don't know if either of them are still in chat, but if they are, they might be able to answer.
Yeah, we had Upas in chat earlier. I'm not sure if either he or 159 of Project Keyboard are still in the chat, but if they are, hopefully one of them can answer that question for us. But yeah, because I don't know the answer to that either, sadly.
Yeah, okay.
Scrubby Sean doesn't tag us, but he does highlight his message, which I guess is effectively the same thing for what we kind of require here. He's asking, what do you guys think the best linear switch is?
Oh man,
wow,
there's so many good ones.
It's a loaded question.
Yeah, I think if you mean an MX switch, there are so many that are on the same level now that it's impossible to pick.
Yeah.
Marshmallows, alpacas, you name it, they're all so similar and they're made by the same company that they feel almost identical. And I guess the way I'd like to badge this up is there's two different things. You can pick the best switch based on price from a linear perspective, or you can pick the best switch based on feeling. If you're picking it based on price, there is only one answer. It's Gatorons, because they're super cheap, and you go for the Milky Top, the black base version. Can't go wrong. Bang for buck, best switch on the market. IMO.
Agreed.
If you're looking for one of the smoothest switches, irrespective of cost, you can pick between any of the new JWK switches, and you're pretty much going to be there. If you want a really high end, then Telios would be my answer. But they're all much of a muchness now. I think, Brian, you had a really good article where you talked about how we need something more than just smooth switches, because everything's as impossibly smooth now. So
yeah, it's totally true too. Like, smoothness isn't enough anymore, because almost every switch is like perfectly smooth these days. And that was what Zeal used to kind of cornerstone. His switches were always the smoothest. That's why Telios, for the longest time, in my opinion, Telios were just the king of linears, just because nothing else was that smooth. Nowadays, like you mentioned, we do have the alpacas, we have the marshmallows, Gateron Inks, also a very good switch right now.
Ink's really good. Yeah,
we have creams, and like there's too many switches. Not too many. There's a lot of switches right now, and a lot of them are just fantastic. And I honestly don't have like an overall favorite. If I had a gun to my head and I had to pick the best linear switch on the market right now, I'd probably just have to go with the tried and true, consistently smooth Telios. The tolerances are fantastic. It's incredibly smooth. They take super well to lube. You can make them sound good in lots of different scenarios. I hate when people say that it's a bad sounding switch overall, because you're only taking one of the 40 variables into account. So that's a moot point. So I think Telio is still just barely the king of linears right now. But with that in mind, you did bring up price. Bang for buck, Gateron really is still the king. Gateron linears, the normal baseline, red, black, yellow, etc., they're just so good for the price. But if I had to pick the most interesting switches right now, it's got to be these new JWK switches. The marshmallows are just too much fun for me to use. The alpacas, also fantastic. I'm really looking forward to the Mauve switches. I'm a JWK switch fan at the moment. I gotta be honest.
Yeah, and I think that's the only way we can answer it. I mean, there's so many good linears on the market now that you can't go wrong. Don't get me wrong, there's some really terrible linears as well, but there's some great ones out there. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Next question then comes from Thornkin. He says, "What do you think of the new Phoenix Aristotle clone stems? Is Aristotle something worth going back after?" So I don't know if you remember this, Brian, but I actually had some delivered to our Airbnb when we were in.
Oh, that's right. Seattle. Those were the Phoenix stems?
Yeah, those were the Phoenix stems. Yeah, they came right as we were checking out as well. Literally as we were leaving the property, they is when they came. So we didn't get a chance to try them in the Airbnb much. I think we had maybe 5 minutes with them, and we didn't get a chance to put them in situation.
Yeah.
However, my Clipper. So you confused me. Brian.
I'm sorry, Jay.
Which is ruined. Just on the wall here, my Clipper. That's actually built with those. I did a build stream where I gave my thoughts and feelings on them. They're a little bit inconsistent, but I did have some prototype ones, not the actual group buy ones. So some of the switches didn't end up clicking, and some of them did. The ones that worked correctly are really nice, and it was quite possibly one of my favorite clicky experiences of the last couple of years. They're definitely a viable alternative to the standard answer to what's the best clicky switch, which most people say the Box Jade and Box Navies. These are definitely a viable alternative to those. I'm kind of interested. That being said, I do think that the Aristotle kind of technology that they used and the way that they made the clicks happen is probably outdated now. There are better ways of doing it with click bars. But they're nice. They're all right. Then I use that board fairly frequently, and I think they're quite nice. I like them enough to use them. So that's about the best I can say for what is an Aristotle clone, I guess.
Sure. And just because I'm a little bit new to these, is the Phoenix stem a new mold stem that is based on the Aristotle?
Yeah, so it's basically the Aristotle design, but made by
Otsumu?
who does all work? Otsumu, yeah.
Otsumu.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So just a little history lesson for all those of you that might not understand what an Aristotle stem is. Aristotle was an MX clone or alternative switch from decades ago. Overall, the switch itself is terrible. It really is bad. The housing is so brittle, it falls apart basically if you try to open them up. I broke at least a third of my Aristotle housing previously. The spring is trash, the switch itself is trash, but people were harvesting the stems because the stem is actually pretty interesting. So similar to how the Holy Panda had the Halo stem that got put into the Panda housing, and those two kind of like melded and came up with new properties on their own based on what they were. The Aristotle stem was kind of the same thing. So the Aristotle stem in its own switch was bad. But if you took the Aristotle stem, put it in, let's say, a Gadaron housing, a Zelio housing, something like that, it actually made it a lot better. The tactility was nice and round, but still fairly gentle. The click was incredibly precise and incredibly clean. It took the clicky world by storm when we got these new hybrids, because at the time you had your choice of all the other not click bar switches, because those hadn't really launched yet. This was a little bit before that, so we had your choice of MX blue, MX green, Gadaron blue, Gadaron green, all the normal click jacket switches. Honestly, they were all terrible, and the Aristotle hybrid was just leagues better than all of them. And because of that, it enjoyed a lot of popularity and success. And then the click bar came out, and everyone kind of forgot about the Aristotle stems, because the click bar, it came stock on a lot of the Kale clickies. It's way cheaper altogether. It's way less work, and it does offer a more precise, more clean click. And to me, it's just nicer. I prefer the click bar personally, but I do respect the Aristotle for where it comes from.
That was a really good summary. That was a really, really good summary.
Thanks, man. I like going on summary tangents sometimes.
Nice. Yeah. Usually it's me.
Well, we can trade off every now and then. It's okay.
Cool.
Wilson says they removed the Fang compared to the Aristotle.
That's good.
Slight
difference. Yeah, it was a slight difference.
Yeah. So on the original Aristotle stem, on the leg, it had kind of a protruding, I guess, fang is what people are calling it, that stuck out a lot, and because of that, you had to angle it a specific way when you put it into the bottom of the switch housing. Otherwise, you just completely crush your metal leaf inside the switch because it catches on that. So it had a lot more material coming out of it than other stems at the time. So it was kind of tricky to put together, and it was kind of a nightmare. But if you got them right, it was pretty good. Prodigy117 asking, what do you think about building/lubing services? It's something I'm interested in doing. Any advice? Sure. Let's see. Well, to start off, so many people are doing it right now.
Yeah.
Countless people offer both building and/or lubing services. So, you're a little late to the game, which is fine. That's obviously not a bad thing. Something I would consider is, what kind of equipment do you have? How can you promote? What kind of prices are you offering? Where are you promoting? I think these are pretty big things. Obviously, I think just having a positive outlook on it and just being a good, kind individual and genuine person helps a lot. Good customer service goes a long way, as do good prices. So just know that you're competing with a lot of people, and try to promote as actively as you can and in all the right spots. So, r/mech market. You can take a look around some of the community discords. We have a mech market channel in our official Top Hacks Discord linked below. You can check that out. You can post your services there. Maybe someone will be there to help you out. You never know. As the community grows, more people need boards built too. So even though we have so many more people doing building and lubing services, we're always in a constant need of needing those particular people, because so many more people are joining the hobby that don't know how to build, or don't feel comfortable learning how to build, or don't want to buy all the equipment for it, or learn how to use it, etc.
Yeah, one thing I would say on that is Prodigy, I'm sorry, I don't know your level of expertise when it comes to building boards or anything else like that, but it's not something to enter lightly. You need to have a proven track record of being good at building boards and having people who know what your lubing style is like, because everyone lubes differently. I lube differently to Brian and everything else, and what works for one person might not work for another, so you may need to be able to tailor that to what the end consumer needs, and that takes a lot of practice. I'm not talking about lubing a couple of dozen switches and being ready to sell your services. You need to be have experience maybe 10, 20, 30 boards worth of switches lubing to be able to really show that off. So testimonials from your previous customers, that kind of stuff is really, really important. And making sure you've got the experience as well is absolutely important as well. So be ready to show pictures of your soldering jobs, testimonials from previous customers, testimonials from people who've tried out your lube and have agreed that they like your lubing style and that kind of stuff as well. Yeah. And take a look at other people's costs as well, because it's not that there's not much money in it, because you need to do a lot. It's a lot of work for them.
It's a lot of work for the money.
You need to make sure that you're pricing yourself depending on your level of experience, not just pricing yourself at the top of the market to make money and all of that kind of stuff as well. So it's not something to enter lightly. It's something you can absolutely do, and anyone could learn it. It just depends on where you are on that journey. And I'm really, without knowing you, I don't know what your level of experience is or anything else, so it's difficult for me to give you any more specific advice, but definitely take all those things into consideration.
Yeah, and if you are new to the community, maybe your name's not as well known around some of these Discord servers or forums or whatever, then you might consider starting out with a relatively low price on both building and lubing. And you can always raise prices later once you get a little bit more practice, once you do get these testimonials that Jay's talking about. You want to have people being able to back your product. You want to be able to solder well. I think having a list of all of your equipment is going to be really important too. A lot of people like to see that. Like Jay mentioned, pictures of your soldering, testimonials for the lube. Having a price breakdown is really good. Having your turnaround times posted, stuff like that. People want information, so the more information you can give them, the better. And people want people want to hear good things about your work as well. So the more testimonials you get, the better. So it can be very difficult to start, but once you kind of have all that down and you have everything laid out, everything just gets easier and easier. But I wouldn't expect to make a ton of money off of it, because, like Jay mentioned, the return on the work that you put in here is not always going to be great. Even the most experienced high tier lubers in the community don't really charge more than like 50 to 75 cents per switch just for lubing, and a lot of people are lubing for way under 50 cents a switch in the community. So
I think the average price when I looked, it was about 35 cents per switch, something in that kind of region. And build fees are anywhere. I mean, Nathan's probably at the top of the game. His charges around $100 to build a keyboard, somewhere in that kind of region. Most of the people are somewhere around $30 to $50, depending on the size of the board. So it all depends, but there isn't a huge amount of money in it. But it's a lot of work for the money that you do get as well. So
yeah.
Just a big shout out to Spitting Infant. Thank you very much for the tier 1 subscription. Really appreciate it, man. Thank you very much for that.
Heck yes. All right, we're gonna.
I am lost where we got to in the questions.
It's all good.
I only have like 30 or 40.
We're almost fully caught up, Jay. I promise.
Yes.
Scrubby.
It's 5 a.m.
It's almost. We're almost to the 3.5 hour mark. Feels bad, man. Oh well.
Quick fire last question.
Yeah, quick fire last couple questions. All right, Scrubby Sean asking, all right, last question. Then I got a hop, top Clack. What do you think is the best way for a beginner to get into their first build? Do you mean get into your first build as in like you're the one doing it? There's no real trick. Just jump on in. Once you have all the parts and you have all the equipment that you need for building, you just do it. Maybe you
have a go. Yeah.
Maybe you watch a build stream or two, or you maybe find a guide online and you try to mimic what they do. Or you can join the Top Clack Discord, link below, and you can ask around for help. There's tons of people to help you with whatever you need at pretty much every hour of the day, thankfully. So yeah, it's a good place to be.
Yeah, we've got dozens of build streams on there. You can go check any one of those out. There are dozens of other people that offer build guides outside of the Top Clack ecosystem. So you go look and look for that information. Reddit, YouTube, all really good resources for that. But my best advice is just try it. Get all the parts that you need together. Have a bit of confidence. Try it. It's really difficult to mess things up.
Confidence is really key in this kind of thing, honestly. When it comes to soldering, desoldering, and lubing, the more you hesitate, the worse things are going to turn out. 100% of the time. So just have faith in yourself, have that confidence, and just be positive, be excited to learn, and just take it slow, but be consistent with it, and don't be afraid to ask for help, because people like Jay and I and lots of people are on the Top Clack Discord, super duper helpful at any time of day. So make sure you get in there for that.
Baron posts as well. Says, Jay, do you think I can charge for my lubing services? I'm not going to answer that because that's not fair on you.
Uh-oh.
For those that you don't remember, Baron was kind enough to send me his Iron 165 FE to build, which I really didn't want to send back because I bought one of the boards.
Fantastic
anyway,
board.
And he sent some switches with it for me to build. And I said to him before he sent the switches, "Do you want me to do the lubing, or are you going to do it, or how do you want to work it?" He says, "I'll send you the switches ready to go." I wasn't a fan of that lubing experience myself, is how I'll put it. I did take the board to the UK meetup at the time as well, and pretty much everyone who tried it didn't like your lubing either, Baron. I'm really sorry. But they were just a little bit over lubed. They were almost squelchy in the bottom. But not to detract from your board,
to be fair, and to also sound like a bad guy, I think a lot of people, if not most people, I feel don't lube properly. I feel like almost everyone overlubes. I've had so many situations where people are like, "Hey, come feel this board. I lubed it. Like, how's my lube job?" And like, it feels like typing in mud. And I feel bad, but like, I don't want to lie to people either. So like, I don't. So I don't know. I feel like the majority of people overlube their switches by my standards, at least.
I'm kind of scared though, because
my thin coat is obviously way different from everyone else's thin coat.
It is, but I feel scared now because Baron's quite hench. He's probably gonna.
He's stacked, man. He's a built guy. He looks good though. He's a really good looking guy.
Yeah, but he's the nicest guy in the world. So Baron, I love you, man, and thank you very much for your support with the JO2 as well the other day. I saw that as well, so thank you very much, Aaron.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, while we were still on the last question before we move on, if you go to topclack.com, I actually do have a stabilizer modification guide as well as a switch tuning guide. So if you want to, those could be good starting points for you, depending on what you're after. I can show you how to lube stabilizers and show you how to lube switches and stuff the way I do it. The stabilizer portion is actually a little outdated. I need to update that, but most everything else is fairly current for me. So
awesome, yeah. Interestingly, just as a really last aside before we go into it, so when the JO2 limited edition was up last weekend, the form was up for people to join. Both Baron and VoxKey joined, and when I was doing the RNG, and it was 100% RNG. Well, so first of all, we had over 500 people, 516 people entered the 20 spots, which was crazy. So we upped it to 30 spots across all three vendors. And when I was doing the draw, completely by random, I was talking in Discord at the time, completely by random, both Baron and Vox came out, and it was pure RNG. It wasn't me stacking the odds or anything like that. And I literally put in chat, it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, everyone is going to say as soon as they read this list, it's rigged because just of some of the names that came out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. It was completely 100% RNG. But Baron, back to the point. I tell you what, you design the boards, I'll build, and I'll lube your switches for you. Let's do that.
Seems pretty fair.
Yeah.
Seems pretty fair. Or I could lube them for you.
Or Brian could.
Just saying. Just saying. Oh man. Antonio in chat says, Brian, the haircut looking fresh. You're a little behind. It's been a couple weeks now, but I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. No Chance RPG says, you all suck, Quakeums.
yeah. Everybody's doing sucks.
I don't want to be mean, but I feel like almost everyone that almost all lube switches that I've felt, I'd say a good 80 to 90% of switches I've felt have been over lubed.
Yeah. I think I'm even heavy on the lube side compared to you, Brian.
But I mean, it's all a lot of people love that. A lot of people do prefer that typing feeling versus like what I like, because what I like is very, very different. Yeah,
and it's all down to subjective. I mean, I think I'm right square in the middle. I'm a very medium luber. You're a very light luber, and then there's people who are on the other end of the spectrum, which are quite heavy in terms of the lube amount. And it depends on which lube you use, and of course, it's all very different. But yeah.
I remember
there's different levels for different things.
I'm gonna pick on Nathan Kim for a second, just because I love the guy and he's a friend. But when he first put out his lubing video. And he was talking about how thin a coat he uses and how he does prefer like a really thin coat, and he makes the video, and I'm watching this, and he starts to apply the lube to the stem, and I went, no, stop, that's about 30 times more lube than I like. I was like, it's a bit. Him and I talked about it after the video came out, and I was like, that to you, like that's a thin coat, and it's interesting to think of like what like a term like thin coat can mean to so many different people, because it's very, very different from my experience. So always interesting, but I do love Nathan Kim. So no offense to him.
Yeah. He tagged me on something on Instagram the other day. I think he built like a JO1 or something like that, and he tagged me on that. And my follower count, even though I had not posted in like a day, my follower count jumped by like 5% in like 20 minutes.
He's the face of this community. He really is.
Right now, he's
the face of this community. There's no way around it. So, hey, it could be worse, man. He's doing a good job pioneering us into the future. He's bringing so many people into this community. He really is.
Absolutely. Right then, should we finish up? I think we've answered all the questions.
Yes.
So,
absolutely.
Any final thoughts before we finish up, Brian?
I'm just gonna echo what Nebulant says in chat. Geez, you guys are still going? Yeah, we're just coming up on the 3.5 hour mark now. Definitely our longest show in a while. We are gonna try to streamline this. I do too. Yeah, I have to go so bad. I'm like moving around because I finished like my third cup of water today. I'm dying over here. Anyways, yes, we are going to head off for the night. So thank you to all that stayed throughout this whole thing. I know it was long. We are going to try to work on streamlining it starting the next episode. We are going to start imposing timelines on news topics and stuff like that. So we didn't do it very well, but we still did it. We can do it better is what we're getting at. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We do want to try to get these main episodes down to roughly 2 hours, which I think is a lot more palatable than 3.5. So
absolutely.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys, but for those of you that... A lot of people do like it when it's long, so I don't know. So everyone's different, but we appreciate you watching either way.
Yeah. Any streams coming up, Brian, that we want to talk about?
Depending on what I get in the mail tomorrow, there could be a build stream tomorrow. Depending on what I get in the mail tomorrow and or Saturday, I could have a build stream on Saturday. Everything's up in the air. I'm waiting for about 15 things to arrive to my apartment. Until then, I'm just kind of sitting here twiddling my thumbs. So that's that.
Cool.
Next Friday will finally be the first official pilot episode of Behind the Keyboard confirmed.
Excellent.
My guest I have confirmed will be home with proper equipment, so we won't have the same issue that we had last Friday, which was a nightmare. But yeah, so look forward to that next week, Friday, Behind the Keyboard pilot episode, and then of course next Thursday, same time, same place. Top Clack as always, and I believe Sunday, obviously, you have a build stream?
Yes, this week I'll be building my Lubriganti, the wildcard Lubriganti, using my alpaca switches, so I'm really excited for that. But I've got a really, really busy weekend, so I need to try and find some time to lube those switches. And just a reminder, folks, the JO2 group buy does go live at 10 a.m. EST on Saturday. So Canon Keys in the US, my keyboard in the EU, and Island KB in Asia. So yeah, really excited for that. I'm not sure how that's going to go because when we did the limited edition, I was expecting maybe 35-40 people to apply for that, and we had 516 people apply for it, and
all right,
that blew me away.
People clearly want that board.
Yeah, right. I was not expecting that. So 516 people, just blew me away. So
yeah, that is
excited for that.
That is
nervous and excited for that. Yeah,
that is wild. Anyways, shout out to all of you guys. We really, really do appreciate all the support, you guys watching. We know whether you're subscribing, whether you're gifting subs, donating bits, or even if you're just chilling in the chat, we love you. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Check below the stream. You can find a link to our official Discord. You can come hang out there, talk about keyboards or mac and cheese or video games, or there's something for everyone there. If you need some help, we have a support channel. No big deal. We got something for everyone. It's a good time. Also, look below the stream. You can find our YouTube channel. Subscribe to that. All the VODs get posted there. We have typing tests and other stuff. So lots of stuff to go around. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream as much as we did. And we will see you soon. Make sure you are in the Discord if you want updates for my build streams, though. Whether it's going to be tomorrow, the next day, or neither, depending on what arrives. You will be notified in the Discord. So keep an eye on that. I'll put it in the announcements channel, depending on what's happening. So, yes, very much tune in on Sunday to see Jay build something awesome. And then make sure you tune in next week and then next Friday as well.
Yeah, excellent. Right.
Have a fantastic rest of your day, everyone. see if I can find the outro. Ah, there it is.